Hey, I am back with another show. This time it is titled Let's Get Debating, because, do you know what? I feel like a debate this evening. That's what I'd like to actually happen this evening. You know, these circle jerks are good, I enjoy them, but let's see if we can get a Glober in tonight. I'm sure there's plenty of Globers out there that would like to pop in. B-Ball for Life, how about you want to pop in? Anyway, a few shout outs this evening. Let's have a look. Who did we have in first? Christian Kumar, nice to see you in. Crazer Tions, nice to see you in. Steve, The Plain Truth, if it is the real Plain Truth. Try Thinking, Shanty Dog, TMF, B-Ball for Life, Cleary, nice to see you in, my friend. Right the Hand, YouTube, and Mason B, many more. Rude Earther, nice to see you in as well, mate. Believe you've got to get an early night though, so you won't be on the show tonight, unfortunately, unless you decide to pop in for half an hour, but that's entirely up to you. Okay, so Colin Dresser, nice to see you in as well, one of my channel members. Nice to have you on. Okay, so we don't have any guests at the minute, which is pretty cool, so I guess I will start taking questions from the chat at some point. But first and foremost, there's a couple of things I just want to get off my little chest here, so bear with me. I'll bring that up in a moment. Let's bring that up in a minute. So let's go over to Sleeping Warrior's channel. Now, I know he's desperate to get some attention from me at some point. It must drive him nuts that I don't in any way, shape or form respond to him on these platforms here, you know, with his community tabs, etc. It must drive him nuts. But I do follow what's being said from time to time, and people do actually get in touch with me if something's been said that perhaps shouldn't have been said. Anyway, of course, you know, today or whatever has been no exception, and I got a couple of messages, so I did take some screenshots. So this is what's going on, guys. So let's bring up the image. So here we go. So this is from Bleeding Warrior 3 hours ago. I think it was a long time ago, actually. It was probably 10 hours ago or something. This was mentioned. And Bleeding Warrior, I think he's responding to As You Wish, because As You Wish was saying that that he thought that Roxanne had only got $40 or something. So Bleeding Warrior sets him straight and says she got £300 on the night in PayPal and £45 in the Super Chats. Now, I think that's kind of interesting for people to know, be made aware of, you know, because the narrative that Sleeping Warrior is putting around, you'd think that I'd, you know, been doing something far more nefarious than that. But anyway, he's setting the record straight. Sleeping Warrior responds. This is the interesting part though, because words have meaning, right? Sleeping Warrior, words have meaning, and this particular word is very important. Sleeping Warrior says, at Bleeding Warrior, she is due, and then quote, everything I make in the Super Chats tonight, Roxanne. Now that's an interesting take on a word, or changing the meaning of the sentence by replacing one word for another, right? So what he's done here is he's changed a single word to fit his narrative. This is the word he wants to have the one sentence out of the entire stream. To make his sentence more secure, he wants to change this word. So he wants to change it to make, everything I make in the Super Chats tonight, Roxanne, which is clearly a lie, as you all know, but this is the desperation that he's actually getting into. Anyway, I don't really want to spend too much time talking about this. I'm just pointing this out to people that if they do go over to his channel and they see things like this, you've got to appreciate that Sleeping Warrior is literally grasping here to try and change things around and make things fit his narrative. Of course that isn't the case, and would you believe it, this entire thread got deleted. So this entire thread got deleted, the one where people are being informed of the actual money that Roxanne made on the evening, and also when Bleeding Warrior points it out that he's lying, to use the exact words in effect, he just deletes the entire thread. So what he's doing is he's going around, he's putting this information out for a few hours until people pick up on it, and then he'll delete the thread. So it's a case of throw a little bit of muck out, hope some of it sticks, throw a little bit of more muck out, hopefully it'll stick. And he's trying to change narrative again, but that one little word, words have meaning, and indeed they do. And if you're going to quote me, Sleeping Warrior, at least make sure you quote the correct word. Okay, the next point, ChrisBerry, Ranty, I'll join if it's open. Sure, send me a message on Skype, Chris, so I can easily add you. So send me a message on Skype right now, and I'll bring you right in to the show. Right, so the next point is this. Let me open this one. Oh, and if I see Sleeping Warriors in, actually, just you know, somebody kick him, not kick him, just keep timing him out. It'd be quite funny, actually, just have him keep bleating around in there. Just time him out. I don't want him here. Right, okay, so this is about Trish, actually. This was really interesting. Alan B's recounting this time that Sleeping Warrior supposedly, and I don't know whether this is true because I don't know anything about this, but it's interesting that Sleeping Warrior is going on about saying that Trish isn't a barrister, etc., blah, 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 blah. But on the next thread, what you'll see is that Rod Level says, Sleeping Warrior is wrong again. I found her. She's written books about the legal process that are easy to find. She does legal podcasts, and you were the subject of a couple, LOL. Right, so he's deleting the comments. So he's still got the narrative running around that Trish is a blithering idiot, that she's, what was it he said? That she's no more than a paralegal that's been sucking an associate for the last 10 years, whilst that associate goes home to his wife. I mean, this is what this guy is doing to, okay, a lady that's been on the scene. People know of Trish. So let's read the whole comment out. That is Alan's claim with falsified evidence to support his nonsense claim. Right, so now he's going to go on to the offensive with Trish. Now, bearing in mind that Trish hasn't been on the scene for the longest time. Trish Blithering Idiot is not a barrister. She does not appear anywhere in any law society. Check how she claims, right? So that's his assertion. But then he goes on to a personal attack. She's nothing more than a paralegal that's been sucking an associate for the last 10 years, whilst that associate goes home to his wife. Okay, now I find that quite disgusting, actually. I don't think there's any need for that. I don't know if there's any proof of that. I have no idea. I mean, I'm assuming that Sleeping Warrior is going to provide proof of this because he's running around saying this, you know, and if he's not, then I'm sure it may lead to some kind of legal things going forward, because if Trish ever finds out that he's saying this, then I'm sure that there are, you know, things that can be done about that. But as I say, the interesting part is this one, where Rod Level says, Sleeping Warrior wrong again. I found her. She's written books about the legal process that are easy to find. She does legal podcasts, and you were the subject of a couple. And then he deleted the comment. He removed it. So what he's doing is he's putting his own narrative out, and he's deleting things that go against what he actually says. Now, as I say, I'm not going to get into the validity of whatever is right or wrong, because I don't know this actual situation. But I do know that when somebody tries to correct Sleeping Warrior and it goes against him, he deletes it, and he will try to change the words of things to mean something else. Everything I make, which was not the case, Sleeping Warrior, and you know that. Okay, so that's that. Right, so I'm going to see if, let's see who's ChrisBerry. Awesome, right, I'll give you a bell right now. Here we go. Hello.
Hold on a second.
No worries, Chris. Don't worry. You're not on cam, so it's fine.
Oh, I gotta get my audio. I don't know why it's coming through my the hell? I'm on the screen share. The audio, yes, coming through my my phone.
The audio's coming through your phone, did you say?
This is my computer. Here.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
hopefully you'll get it fixed in a minute.
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry about that.
Good stuff. So what can we do for you, Chris? How's it going?
Oh, good. Nothing. I just you're usually like you start way later than I have time for to jump on. It seems to be earlier, right? Like it's only 4 Central my time, 4:04. So
Yeah,
usually you feel like you start more like 6 Central, 6:30 Central, sometimes even.
yeah. Well, I've started doing this around about 10 o'clock. Normally, I was doing it at 11, or 11:15. So I'm doing it at least an hour and a bit earlier. Just to give me a bit of sleep, because by the time I finish at 2 a.m., it's better finishing at 2 a.m. than 4 a.m.
Right.
So, how's things with you? It's been a while since you was on the show.
Yeah, no, I do try and listen in a lot. See, like you're usually later than I can join, and Nathan's usually earlier. So try and listen back to Nathan's. I usually don't listen live. And then yours I kind of listen to in the evenings while I'm like maybe doing a workout or something or cooking dinner maybe. But no, I just thought I don't have a ton of time even now, but I'd have some time. So I was going to present something that is of interest, if you want, and kind of
Absolutely.
discuss it a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't want this to be bogged down tonight with drama. I just want to get into the nuts and bolts of it tonight, if that's good, and maybe get a
Right.
blogger on perhaps that will come in and bring some proofs that we can have a look at.
Yeah. So let's see. How do I screen share?
So in the bottom
Guys.
right, you should have the two overhanging. There we go. And then you just pick.
Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Yeah, just make sure you pick the screen that you want to share. So is that the screen that you want to? So yeah. So there you go. So I've got galleries up now. Do you want me to share that with the audience?
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
So just let me give you a bit of background. So Dean, aka Stingray, who joins Jose's show a lot. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
3D artist and all that. Anyways, he's basically put out an open challenge to say, hey, if you can find find any NASA, call it fakery, whether it's a video or image, he wants to see it, and he wants proof that they're faking stuff. He doesn't think they fake stuff. So I said, okay, I'll find you something. So I found, and in fact, the original analysis wasn't mine, but I have since reproduced the same effect, if you will. So if you come to, we'll just do this live, right? I'm on Epic. GSFCNASA.gov, right? So this website, okay.
So it's an official NASA. So it's official NASA.gov, yeah.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And if you go to Lunar Transit 2015, okay, so July 16, 2015, it says, oh, I thought this was funny. Reprocess images and movie of the transit of the moon in front of the full sunlit disk of Earth. So not.
Do you notice how they say it's a disk? Why did they say it was a disk?
They call it a disk.
Why would they call it a disk?
Because this is a disk.
Okay.
Right.
It's interesting that they've just termed it a disk, though.
Technically it's a disk. It's not, because it's a 2D image, right? It's not a sphere, so technically they're correct. But I just thought that was funny. Anyways, so you can come here and you can download these photos yourself. Now, I'll give credit to Paul, a guy named Paul on the plane, who did a presentation over this, and I thought, well, I want to see if I can reproduce what he did myself. And honestly, it's pretty easy. So you can come to any of these images that have the moon kind of already, in view, and you can download this one. You can already, if you know what you're looking for, you can already see an issue. So I'm going to download, click this one. And now, so first off, you see a little something right here on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's something off about this thing, this photo, whatever you want to call it, this snapshot. So I'm going to save image as, right? So fresh save.
Yep.
I've already saved it earlier, so I'm going to rename it to 2.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a fresh save. We're going to come over here to Forensically, this website. You can kind of put these photos in. And by no means am I an expert at this, but this is obvious. Like anybody could do this. Okay, so I called it 2. So here's 2.
Yep.
I'm going to open it. And so it loads right away. So what you can do is you can do noise analysis, and what's going to happen is you're going to see very clearly that there's something over here on the right side, right? So like, okay, Dean and whoever else, like, what the hell is that? In fact, you see how it's got a sharp black line right here. It's cut off, so the image actually has a black line running up and down it on this edge. So just for fun, let's go get a different one and see if we can see something else. So this one's a good one because you can see it here too. Again, several of them have it, right? And if you watch the animation,
that's the moon. That's the moon again.
It's over here on the
yeah,
on the right.
It's a repeat, isn't it? On the right, yeah.
It's a repeat. So they messed up somehow. Again, I'm no expert, so I'm going to call this one 3. Save that live. Come over here. Actually, let's open a new window. And go over here and do open file. And called it 3. Open that. Do the noise analysis. And there you go. So yeah, and it's clear as day. There's something off with this image, the series of images, and the line that's up and down this side. Now, actually, if you go to, let's see, magnifier. Now you see that?
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah.
Isn't that Aristarchus or whatever? Now, if you go over here, it's that same thing.
Is that what Aristarchus is? Right? Because
I don't know.
Because Pete Shea hasn't told us that. I mean,
it's something.
Is it like the? Is it? Hang on, wait a minute. Is Aristarchus the moon's bumhole?
Yeah, it is. I think it is. But anyways, you can, with 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, it's a reproduction of that. Now they're going to come back and say, oh, well, it's like some glare or some bullcrap, right? Like, no, like this line right here is sharp. It's a sharp edge. I can't, if you were to look at the middle of the magnified image, it's a sharp edge, right? It's a 90-degree edge, and that doesn't make any sense. So they cut the photo off within the program that they used. So let's see, there was something else I was gonna do. Oh, if you go to like the most popular one is this photo forensic, and it's pretty cool because you can like look, and so I've already got some of these NASA ones. So let's just do one of these, and if you can do all the XF data, you know, the metadata for it, and there's some interesting stuff I found. I couldn't quite. Like if you just go like that, you can just see it pop in, right?
Yep.
And you see it's a weird. I mean, it's that circle, but because it's cut off, it's got a weird shape to it. And then down here. So if you go to metadata, if you go to, okay, so this one doesn't have it. So sorry, let me refresh it. There's one of these has, I think it's this one. This one is supposedly the moon from the ISS. So if you go to metadata on this and you scroll down, first of all, it says software, Adobe Photoshop CC 2018 on Windows. So I'm like, okay, you know, that's odd. And you know, maybe all it means is that they for some reason put it into Photoshop first, right, and then exported it to a different format. Maybe that's possible. So you know, whatever.
Okay.
But then down here it says Photoshop. It's got all these different values that they've done in Photoshop. And this one says has real merged data. Yes. So again, I googled that. I couldn't find exactly what that means. But if you've ever used Photoshop, you know it's got this thing called layering, right? So you can like add these different layers and merge. Like if you combine 2 layers, I believe you have to do what's called merging them. So if you merge them, it's no longer 2 layers. It's now 1 layer, kind of static. So it says has real merged data. So my question is, you know, do they have layers that have been merged? And is that what this means? It says yes. And then it says writer name Photoshop, reader name Adobe Photoshop CC 2018. So, you know, it's a little fishy. Again, I'm no expert, so maybe it's completely legit on this image. It's possible. But that to me is a little fishy, and what those lines mean right there, especially this one that has real merged data. And then you can go down here and see all these like different settings and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that they had to upload it in that software program. I mean, why wouldn't you just upload it as is, you know, without messing around with it at all?
And then so it shows you the history action. So they saved it again, derived, whatever the hell that means. Saved it, converted it, derived, and then saved it. So they did all these things on this image before they put it to the public. Now, you know what? I might be a little off. So there's One of these I downloaded was the original, and one of them wasn't. So I need to make sure that I want the original. Let me just double check, because I want to be fair. No, on this one it must have been. Oh, I replaced it with the original, so that's right. So this is the absolute original photo from NASA that I got. And if you look at this, it's like all weird. Again, I don't know what that stuff means, but the metadata for me is on this image is the most important. For this one, they need to explain what the hell is going on with that. So, I mean, Dean's going to come back and say, oh, well, in my experience, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. He's going to have some logical explanation, right? Of course. But for us common folk, it's like, why do they have that? And then there's actually, I think if you play the video, that thing, there's a little animation where they took all of these. So they took all of these images, right, and stitched them together, and they made a little animation. And if you play the animation, you can see that thing in the right corner move with the animation.
Right.
I don't have that example pulled up, but actually, let me see, because this is just. Oh, here it is. Watch the video.
Well, hang on. One thing I want to go back to those images now. Because I haven't really studied the moon that long, right?
Now look at it. You can see it.
Right? But wait a minute. Don't we see Aristarchus dust or whatever it is from the Earth?
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
so wait a minute. So if we're seeing it from the Earth, how are we seeing it from behind?
No. I'm wrong. It's not air. I just was saying that for fun.
Okay. Right,
I don't know. This is supposedly this is what the backside of the moon looks like. That's what they tell us, at least.
Right. Okay. That makes more sense.
So I don't know what the hell those things are called. But if you look here on the bottom right, it's kind of dark. But if you watch the bottom right again and you hit play, you'll see it moving along in rotation with the animation.
Yep.
So there's something fishy with that. I don't know how you would explain that away. And then the other thing is, if you go to so that says July 16, 2015, right? There's the moon. If you go to this thing, you can actually pull up all the dates that they've ever done and captured. So if we go to 2016 July, or was it 2015? I believe it. Okay, sorry. I think I just had a brain melt. I think it was 2015. Dang it. Hold on, sorry. Let's double check. Yeah, 2015, sorry. So July 16th, 2015. So if we go to July 16th, okay, what's going on? 2015, July. Notice that you can't select the 16th.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So all the yellow boxes are days that they took images. But that one showed the 16th of July 2015, but you can't, as a user, select that. But if I hit the 17th, it shows there's three, showing one of three. And if you hit play, it plays the three images in sync or whatever. So that's another interesting thing, that the time that just so happened that the moon passed in front is the time you can't get to it yourself on this little thing. Again, maybe it's nothing, but it's a little fishy. What's one of them? Let's see. Trying to find. There's a couple that have more than three, like several. 12. One of 0. That's weird. One of 5. So, anyways, you get the point. But so that was. I've already sent Dean that info. I've sent him the photos. I've sent him this one of the photo. I've asked him to explain this thing, and that's really all else I had. So, anyways, thought that would be an interesting little topic to bring up until other people can join.
Yeah, I mean, so this is obviously, something that you've been having an argument with Stingray, right? Because he says that you need to provide proof that they are manipulating these images, and you've just done that. Do you get this opportunity to do this on Jose's?
Yeah, I mean, so the other day I asked him in the animation. I asked him why, when it moves, it doesn't look like the clouds move. And he showed me this little section here. If I go in the magnifier, this section here, that kind of weird looking figure 8 thing.
Yeah.
And he played it, and it did show some stuff kind of appearing and disappearing. He said that was the clouds moving. So I said, okay, fine, that's fair. But then if you watch like a Himawari 8 video, within like 3 seconds, the clouds are just completely flowing and moving with ease. And it just makes no sense why in this one the clouds, if they move at all, barely move over, say, the course of 3 or 4 hours. And in the Himawari 8 one, they flow, and I guess I can pull it up, and I don't think there's any, or is that okay, or is there a...
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. If I get a strike, I get a strike. It's one of them, innit?
Oh, that was, wow, I did a terrible spelling job. Himawari 8. I'm trying to pull up, I don't know if there's like an official one or not, but I think this one's okay. Like, if you see how the clouds are just constantly moving.
Are they moving though? Are they flowing across the surface? It doesn't look like that to me. It just looks like the turning.
Like, yeah, look up here. They're moving. Oops, it's a short video. Like up here, they're flowing. You can see it, kind of the pattern, and this thing is definitely spiraling.
Okay.
So there seems to be an inconsistency in how the cloud patterns move from the Himawari, and this one. And so if we go back to it and we watch the video. If you look at the cloud, I'll make it bigger. They don't have that same flow. Now, again, if you know...
Oh, they don't turn, do they?
They don't seem to, at least. And
that hurricane doesn't turn, does it?
That hurricane-looking thing is not...
No,
really...
the hurricane doesn't turn, doesn't spin one bit.
Right, it doesn't seem to, which is very odd. And again, he pointed something in here, and like, yeah, it basically dissipated. And I was like, well, man, that's just... I gave it to him at the time because I didn't want to argue, but I'm like, that is... In terms of everything else going on and no movement, I was like, yeah, that's a real small find to find that. But yeah, like if you watch... Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, watch that hurricane right in the center.
Yeah.
No, the one next to it. Yeah, that one. Yeah. It doesn't turn once.
Yeah, if you watch either of these two right here, they basically are very static, compared to, I mean, right to what we just saw in Himawari. And you know, they're not the exact same distance away, but oh, you know what I just noticed? There's like a weird line around the moon as it passes too, of course. But yeah, hang
on, whoa, go back. Look, the moon in the top right. Look at the moon in the top right hand corner.
Yeah, what about it?
Yeah, look at it. It's been cut off.
Oh, right. That's what I'm saying. That's where the edge of...
No. It's been cut off at 11 o'clock. You know, if you go... Can you see at 11 o'clock? Can you see there's an angle cut off on it?
Oh, I think that's a shadow. Here, let me play it again.
A shadow of what?
I don't know.
What's causing a shadow on the moon?
That's a good question. I think, is it the same when it comes in? There's a shadow down here.
Yeah, why is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Right, if they're saying this, so the Earth here is lit because of the sun, right? So this is the sun side of the Earth. That means the whole backside of the moon should be lit. And then as it comes in and out, there's a small shadow. Oh, but look at this though. Like, you see this yellow hue, this yellow line around the moon on the side?
Bit of Photoshop.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
So something's fishy about this, that's for sure. So I mean, look, I would say, you know, looking at this, I would say, yeah, something's fishy. And someone like Dean, a baller who's got, you know, bias, he'd say, oh well, you know, they just when they exported it exported some phantom, you know, some false things. You know, he's gonna have some excuse for it. So, but.
Well, Stingray's got the my Skype. If he wants to come in and talk about this, I'd like to hear what he had to say.
And yeah, I'm sure he's going to have an answer. I have no doubt about it. But you know, I just don't know what that means. In fact, I missed the yellow. I missed that yellow around the moon here. It's pretty prominent here.
You're right. It is.
So that's something that's questionable. So that's two things that are questionable just about this one set of images in animation. Did you accept, is Carlos in here?
Sorry, say again.
Did you accept Carlos?
I didn't know. Did he want to join?
Oh, maybe he was. Maybe he called me. I swear he just was calling in.
Let's bring Gleem in. So hang on, let's bring Gleem in.
Oh, I missed a call from Carlos.
I could bring Carlos in if he wants to join.
So Carlos says Himawari 8 time lapse was of 4 to 8 hours. The moon transit is only up to 1.5. So okay, I get that, but it's just nothing to say. Like, not the same at all. Even though if you did 1.5 hour Himawari 8, it's going to be way different than the.
Mic check 1.
Mic check 1, Gleem. Nice to have you in, mate. Carlos, check. Mic check.
Yep. Mic check.
Good stuff.
That wasn't good.
Check. Should be working now.
Yeah, it's better. A bit better, definitely.
Yeah, can I comment on what Chris was presenting? Real quick.
Go ahead.
Sure.
You were comparing the amount of cloud movement on the transit of the moon, and then comparing it to the Himawari time lapse that was like multiple hours. It was like 4 to 8 hours. Of course, there's going to be a big difference. Once again, Dean himself told you that the amount of time that passed from before the in between the beginning and the end of the moon transit was like 1 hour and a half or so. And you're trying to compare that to the Himawari that you show, which was almost like half a day.
Okay, so this says on the Discover the moon transit, it says the transit lasted from 1630 EDT to 2010 EDT. How many hours is that?
I'm talking about from the segment that Dean showed you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm reading off the NASA site what the times that they said they got the capture is. 1630 Eastern to 2010. That's almost 4 hours. That's 3.5 hours.
Okay, and then the Himawari that you show, the footage from the Himawari when you can see the sun go from one side of the Earth to the other one. How many hours is that?
Well, it's more, and I said that. But if you took just a 2-second snapshot of the Himawari 8, right? Let's say that's 3 to 4 hours, and you took the whole video of the moon transit, the 2-second snapshot of the Himawari is going to have way more cloud movement than the moon one.
You said 2 seconds. You need to be more specific, because 2 seconds of a time lapse can differ depending on how speed the time lapse is. I mean, that's all I wanted to point out, that there's movement on both, and it's more noticeable on one, and the one that's more noticeable on is the Himawari, which is way more time passed compared to the moon transit. But anyway,
right.
That's
I knew you would say that. Did you see the little object in the bottom right, that little oddity?
I did not. I was listening in, and I just catch the glimpse of the.
Can I comment on that?
No,
Yeah.
of course.
No, because it will actually come to your defense, and I've heard it many a time, and you can't argue against it. There's no way to counter it. It is a digital artifact. Okay, and the yellowing or purpling around the edge that you were saying, that's called chromatic aberration, and that's what happens when motion is captured on camera, and you'll always see it in if you're moving even with a normal camera.
Well, I can't remember which one did you see that these artifacts, Chris? Is it on the Himawari or on the one with?
No, Epic. Yeah, the Discover one. Yeah.
I've also looked into that, and there's so somebody was talking about the fact that they use multiple passes of different wavelengths. So it's not just a regular CMOS sensor. Exactly. So
Yeah, you just broke up there, mate.
Yeah. I mean, I will say is I would not be surprised if they are layering it, and I would not be surprised if they do not try to sell it off as a real image, because once you dig into the depths of the Epic camera, you'll see that there is coloring going on. There is exactly that. There's multiple frequencies.
But Gleem, Hold on,
I
Carlos.
didn't get
Hold
to finish. Yeah, but saying it was multiple passes for different wavelengths, and then you put them, you combine them together. So if you do a pass red, a pass with blue, a pass with the three primary colors, and you can combine that. But if there's a lot of time in between those passes, then of course the unless everything was still, there might be some mismatch and making cause some of that artifact.
Yeah, I mean, they do add what's known as, and this is especially on the Epic, is false color. They do two sets. They release two sets, and if you look at the other one, they look a bit dim and dull. Whereas this one, used in the Moon one, they have actually added a specific color enhancer. You can go through it, and they freely, you can download all the software for all of these satellite pictures, and you can actually go in full. Sorry, Carlos, you're really cutting out, my man.
Yeah, well, that's me trying to cut in because I don't know if you're done because you have some, you pause when you speak. But what I was going to say also is that respect the regular regular spectrum that is visible to us when you're talking about imaging for weather or other things, it's not as useful as you think it would be. So they use other things, forward-looking infrared and near infrared, and that's why we end up with some of those manipulations, so it can look like something we're familiar with. But it's really almost pointless to just put a regular CMOS sensor.
I agree.
Hold on a second, Carlos. I want to ask Gleem. So, Gleem, are you saying that the weird color around the moon and the artifact in the bottom right that looks like a duplicate of the moon, you're saying that's all legitimate, you think?
Not legitimate in as much as you would think that that is a case of editing. That is not a case of editing. That could be the duplicate of the moon on the left-hand side, and where you were saying, it's got a shadow up in the top right-hand corner and it's got a shadow down in the bottom right-hand corner. If you can imagine looking, I know this sounds weird, if you can imagine looking down a toilet roll, that is what that is. That is the sensor limit of the outer edge, where it doesn't capture any data beyond that point, put it that way, and it will only scan that region. And that's where the moon will then come in, and it will detect the moon coming in from. And it is exactly what Carlos is explaining. You don't have a traditional camera in space where you're taking flashes and flashing back at the Earth, because the Earth is getting Earth shine anyway. So what you actually have is just radio waves and the CCD3 sensors, the RGB. So you'll have multiple ones that will cut through clouds, ones that will only get to the top of clouds, ones that will get to the ground, ones that will get even now. You must have all seen since Google launched that under the water thing. That's what helped them to actually all these satellites going deep and penetrating actual water and actually finding the depth of the water from up there.
So,
and that's all radio wave. It's
So
all radio wave and constructed. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, so that's all fine, but here's the problem, right? Who's to ever know then what's actually been edited and not? If we can say, that's just the coloring and the added coloring, and that's just the lens type, or that's this or that. Dean is right. We'll never be able to prove that any of these things are edited or called fake, because, that artifact to me is the thing that stands out the most. I've videoed a million things in my life. I've taken pictures. I've seen people, but I've never seen anything like that in an artifact. And just to say, that's just the kind of, what kind of camera are they using? Oh, and by the way, if you look at the other images from the same source, the same supposed satellite, that artifact isn't there.
Yeah, no, that is what I'm saying. I mean, I was on here the other night with Ranty and showing the Himawari's imager unit, and it looks like a big, massive washing machine. I don't know whether I can share now, Ranty, if that's okay.
Of course, yeah, fire away.
Yeah, so the actual imager is down here. So
it's so funny, that thing.
Yeah, this is probably your RGB, and trust me, I'm not professing to know. I've actually looked at the plans of this, but it is mind-boggling, obviously, because it's mass technology. But if you look at it from another angle, all of these different things are the sensors, and that's what I'm saying. You're looking down a tunnel, no matter what.
Okay,
And
wait a
that's
minute.
where-
Hang on. How many sensors are there? Right. Remove the wires. Take away the wires. Take away the tin foil. Take away the shell. Take away the shells. How much
So-
equipment have we actually? Take away the lights. Take away the lights. How much
Let me
equipment
tell
is
you
left?
now. All these things sticking out are actually like pencil beams. If you can understand that, this is the best way I can explain it. It's pencil beams, whereas this here is actually a sensor as well. I'm sorry, I'm purely guessing, but they can have antennas, is what I'm trying to get at, as sensors. So you can even have an antenna in this and this structure, and what that does is it picks up another frequency. And it all depends on how big the antenna is and what type of antenna it is as to what frequency you'll get and what power you can shove down it. But essentially, these are your finite ones, so to say, for all your different frequencies. And then you'll have other ones which will give you your vast frequencies, like give me all the low-lying rain cloud. There we go. That's probably one of the most easiest, because you'll know that it will reflect back before it hits Earth, if you understand that. But it's all radio wave. It's all constructive. In my view, you can't use it as proof as a globe. That's how I see it. And anybody using it as proof as a globe or proof of a flat Earth, you cannot. Because it's a constructed image. Put it this way, I bet you if someone give me £1 million and a week and the data...
everything is constructed image, unless you're looking at it.
Yeah, but it's not a one snap. That is the point. It's constructed because it's such a large surface, it's scanned. And
Okay, so define image before we go any further.
Pardon, sorry?
I said define image before we go any further, because...
Like this,
everything is constructed, even a photograph with film.
Look on the screen. You get a template of Earth, and then what it will do is this, and it is like doing a panorama. But again, if you're looking so far away from Earth and whatnot, you may only be able to see this certain amount of Earth, but it's flat.
Okay.
Because it's constructing it's constructing it based on the model that you think it is. Put it that way.
Okay. That's a whole other thing you're arguing there, but...
Quick shout out to Amanda Young for the $5 super chat, who says, shout out to Ranty. Awesome job. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
A little fractional sensor. It's actually creating a voltage. I fully understand how it works, but put it this way.
You're saying that regardless, this is not proof of globe or flat. You're saying this is just images.
Yes. Yes, I do not believe any major images could be proof of flat or globe, or final evidence, 100% evidence saying yes, this is definitely something.
Ranty, I gotta share. Sorry, Gleem. One more thing. I found. Oh God.
I've got one for you though that I want to ask Carlos on. Let me pull it up and prepare it, because.
Well, do that. Let me screen share real quick. This will take.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I've dropped off.
Clip. Okay, here. Let me do this.
Go on, carry on.
Ranty, do you see my message, Ranty?
The message, you say?
Yeah, and Google, and I mean YouTube. Did you know that Google Meet is now free?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually thought about, changing the format a little bit and being able to just have an open platform where people can just jump on in. But I'm thinking of doing it between the two, still have a Skype, and sort of like a secondary stream that I can just put a link out for people to join. But I need to figure out how to use all that on this voice banana thing or whatever it is. So
Skype is a little confusing. It's not as good in my opinion, but now that I used to say, all right, well, because if you don't want to pay, I get that. But now that it's free, I'm like, man, it's so much better. Anyways, so can you see my screen here?
I can, yeah.
So here's another one.
In the meantime, I'll just put a shout out Mason B. Shout out to Amanda, Rude Earther, Cleary, and Ranty. Cheers for the super chat. Right, carry on, Chris. Go ahead.
So this is just a different set of or different, call it animation, which is the snip together shots from the Discover. No, this is hilarious. I'll just play it.
Hang on, wait a minute. Isn't it? I'm confused. Isn't the moon supposed to be going around the Earth?
Yeah, I don't
know. Moonshine.
Wait a minute, hang on.
That's called moonshine, isn't it?
Now watch the clouds in this one. Now, if you're telling me this is less than a couple of hours, you're insane, right? So to go all the way from this left side, past the moon to the right, it's got to be.
Well, if it's the whole diameter of the Earth, you can figure it out.
And it's the whole Earth, yeah. Just watch the clouds; they're not moving.
Okay, well, Chris, you said that last time, and then Dean tracked him and showed you that there was movement.
He showed one.
You going back to saying the same thing without.
Well, yeah, but again, you're comparing it to Himawari now, though, right? You got to.
Yeah, but this is what, like 2-3 hours maybe?
No, 2 hours to move from one entire side of the universe to the other.
Hang on, what makes you think you're moving from one entire side of the universe to the other one? What do you think happened here? How they acquire this? Okay, this is the epic, right?
Well, let's look. Let's see what it says. To be fair. Oh, by the way, Dean got that last one wrong. Oh, and here's the information. So 1630 to 2010. That's 3 hours 40 minutes. Dean said 1.5 hours from his analysis. So he was wrong about that too. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. Okay, this one doesn't. I don't know if this one doesn't say how long.
I think it's safe to say it would be about the same amount of time, Chris.
Well, we can't say that because we just don't know. That apparently Dean, who's the expert at this 3D stuff, he was off by 2 hours. So.
But what I'm saying is that looking at the other transit, we can make an assumption there that it's about the same amount of time. What, 3 hours? Is that what the other one was?
Sorry, anyway, say that again.
What I'm saying is, you said that you
I'm just going to shout out John Watson here right now. £2 super chat who says, "Sleepy sucks donkey's cocks." Thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Much appreciated, mate.
Left to right of the entirety of the Earth. Like, that's not done in an hour.
Okay. Now, do you kind of have an idea of, on the heliocentric model, how the epic captured this? Like, what do you have to do?
No, I honestly don't. Just like Ranty was saying, I don't understand how that was even captured. So that thing is what, 80,000 miles away or something like that?
Well, it's not about the distance. Think about this: the epic camera's in between the Earth and the Sun, right? It's in Cellular. What's it called? I can't remember what. Anyway,
yeah, whatever.
So all the epic had to do in order to get that shot is just track the moon, as it was going behind the Earth. But because it was tracked and it's stabilized or whatever, it looks like the Earth just is moving in there and the moon isn't. But anyway, I'm just saying it it's just what, 3-4 hours amount of time that passed from beginning to end. I mean, it's not.
Man, I don't know. It looks more than 3 or 4 hours.
Okay, how are you coming to that conclusion?
Just the scale of it. It's completely out of frame. Then it's in frame, and then it goes past the moon and almost out of frame again.
Okay, so what does that tell you?
Well, I'm just saying it's a lot of movement across the cliffs.
No, but what if your reference to come to the conclusion is a lot of movement? So I'm saying
the Earth is big, right? The Earth is big.
Yeah. So what, like three Earths of distance that it moved, or 4? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, we're arguing. Yeah, there's no point. I'm Gleem.
Well, I said I don't know. You said it was like an hour. I'm saying I think it's more than that.
No, I wasn't arguing the time. I was arguing the amount of distance that it traveled.
Well,
but anyway, it doesn't matter.
So that's fine. But anyways, on the first clips, 3.5 hours, and I'm going to say virtually no cloud movement. What Dean showed was dissipation, which means it basically just disappeared.
Dude, how much? What would you expect to see? I mean, what we see every day in the sky, is that what you're expecting to see on that?
I expect to see what we see with the Himawari.
Oh, okay. Which is what you see in a lapse of 12, 14 hours.
Right. The total, but Carlos, you can take a 2-second clip or 3-second clip of the total 12 or 13-second clip and say, okay, well, the 2 seconds is a couple of hours, right? So the 2 seconds of the Himawari, which is a couple of hours, has way more cloud movement than the 3.5 hours of the moon transit one. So I'm saying it's just not out. It's not all adding up, man. Like I don't know what else to tell you. Like anybody who watches the Himawari 8 for 2 seconds,
well, the reality is
the moon transit, it's going to be way different.
Here's another thing you have to take into consideration. In one point of view, the Earth is rotating, and the other point of view, the Himawari is actually geosynchronous with the Earth. So you don't see the Earth moving. All you see is the change of angle of the light. So you have a lot more chance to actually notice any movement on the clouds compared to the epic. So that's another thing you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I'm not sure that would make that big of a difference though. Like I think he would still see some.
Think about it, Chris. Your eye, the Earth is rotating on the epic is rotating. So there's deformation, of course, because it's a spherical object. So any very slight change of movement in the clouds, it would be very hard to detect since it's already deforming because of the spherical nature of the Earth. Now, if you're looking at the Earth stationary from a geosynchronous orbit, then you wouldn't have to, you don't have any deformation of rotation, so you can see slight changes. But anyway, I digress.
Hey man, whatever you want to believe, it's cool.
Can I ask that question? Sorry, Carlos.
Yeah, you had that question.
Yeah, if you can see the screen.
What was that?
This is just NASA's worldview. It's basically an amalgamation of all their remote sensing satellites that are looking at Earth, basically, and they just amalgamate them all in. If you can see, this is literally live as well. So they'll fill it in every 5 minutes or so, or whatever it is. But yeah, now obviously, as it's going through, as I understand it, this is the standard satellite path type thing, and there's more.
Polar.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is just one satellite, okay? Because NASA themselves say this is a composite of all of them, all of our ones. Not anyone else's, not Himawari, not anyone else, but this is Epic, Discover, and all of them, all rolled into one to create this. Obviously, I'm not worried about these gaps. These gaps are perfectly explained by the Earth being a sphere, yeah, because that would wrap around and then fill in that gap. What I've got a question with, and what I've never managed to actually get an answer to, and there probably is just a logical answer to this, I just cannot figure it out. In Antarctica, and this happens, of course, in the Arctic, every 6 months, you get this saw cutout pattern. Now, if I just go through the past 6 months, or 3 months even, sorry, it will show you it getting smaller and smaller. And obviously, in your view, that would be because the path of the satellite would be getting smaller and smaller, or different, let's say. With the tilt of the Earth and this, that, and the other, 6 months of the year it'll be over, or I think it is every 3 months it swaps over poles. So if I go right the way back, either way, you'll see it actually filled in there. But if you see the lines, so it's all still patched together, yeah, and they don't hide that at all. I'm not saying that this is deceptively done like this. This is more, NASA is basically saying, look, we're going to give you all our satellites in one. However, what I don't get is what it does when it comes to this point. Okay, so we can see here now we're going to have 2 more slats filled in here. Yeah. Now, if you imagine you're on the bottom of Earth, globe Earth, and you're flying in an airplane. And I know this is a satellite, remember, but let's say you're flying into Antarctica in an airplane. What are they doing to make this jagged pattern? Are they literally switching it off and causing a line? If you understand that, they're coming in here, as I see it. And then, as I see it, is they're going up and down, doing this. You know, this up and down, up and down, up and down. So it would be up and down and up and down. But I've never got an answer as to what is happening. Why are they switching off the satellite? Put it this way. If you were to carry that line on, you would fill in that gap, wouldn't you? So that's what I don't get.
You would think, but you know, I couldn't tell you. I mean, the question is, why does it matter? That's a good question. I mean, it doesn't. You know, you would think it would be something uniform, but then you have to remember, you know, we're not dealing with perfect orbits and whatnot. I mean, that's a good question, and I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm not expecting you to. To be honest, I've asked multiple people, tens.
That's very curious right there. Yeah. You would think because they were doing a pattern that it would just go around and then start over, but then you see that gap there missing. So I don't know. It's when it gets to scanning a spherical object and putting it down in 2D images and then trying to project it, it gets messy. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. The one thing is that they're better at the North Pole, because if you can see here, if you remember on that one before, you had like, it was worse than a Trivial Pursuit little chipboard thing where it had loads of lines. On this, you can barely see the seams. You can just see sort of like 3 or 4, whereas before it was sort of like in 10 degrees.
Is that what the North Pole is supposed to look like? Is that all ice or what?
Yeah, North Pole, there's no actual land mass at all. It is all floating ice. And then every 6 months when it's cold up here in the north, we get... So this is just about to all melt now as we come into our summer. But
okay.
In the south, this is the massive difference between Antarctica and the Arctic. This has got between 3 million kilometers, square kilometers land mass, and then that grows as well. The ice on top of this grows when it becomes winter here, up to, I think it's 15 million square kilometers. So to put it in perspective, it's the size of India at its smallest and the size of 1.5 Northern Americas or 1.5 Europes in its winter. And that is just extension of ice that comes right the way out here or something. And NASA do a video on it and show you that all this freezes up and then it becomes water in the summer.
Yeah. So, okay, so you're saying those edges are because they took the panoramic snapshots and then when they stitch them together, that's what you get on the bottom, you're saying?
No, what I don't get is
it's just stripes.
The satellites are flying down, yeah? And even if you can say they're going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. As this one comes back down here now, why is it switching off here? That's what I don't get. What is stopping at this point? Why not just go straight over the globe and come back up the other end? So you're just constantly going over the globe, as if you're doing a perfect sphere, and forget about the poles. Put it that way. Why are we worried about the poles? And I know it's because of orbits, misaligning orbits and whatnot, but why haven't we got a constant satellite going straight the way over? Because that's obviously a well-known thing. No one's ever traversed Antarctica from north to south fully. And
yeah, and if you look at...
Go on, sorry, Chris.
Sorry, I was just going to say, if you look at what you're sharing, if the very top, it's basically perfectly flat, and the bottom is where you see all the saw edges, and the layers or each individual strip is angled to the right for some weird reason, I guess.
Well, that would be to do with the orbits, in order to get around. It'll have particular orbits.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
So you'll have a geostationary one where the Himawari's here, let's say, it's about here, and it just stays there no matter what. These go around an orbit, so they're in a different L zone. But this is an absolutely brilliant site. This actually gives you every single thing that I was just on about. So you can see, you can grab in a layer, just like Photoshop, and it will overlay it, and you'll be able to see whatever. And there we say corrected reflectance, true color, and that is when they've modified it. And you can take off the true color as well, and it will give you sort of like looks like Minecraft type red RGB.
Right. Hey, I have one more question. I'm probably going to drop. Maybe TMoG can jump in.
I'm sorry,
so
I'm
Gleem,
a grown man. I don't know what Minecraft is.
So Gleem, you seem to have done a lot of research into this aspect of it. Do you know? I don't know if you saw earlier or heard. I was talking about if you import some of those NASA images into the EXIF or into photo forensics, it shows the EXIF. There's something called hold on, has real merged data, and it says yes. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, that would be to do with the metadata, and that could be, put it this way, as soon as you open it up in Photoshop, and put it this way, little do you know, there are so many, and you would have seen this, when you're searching up an image in Google Images, you won't see it, but then when you download it, you go, damn, it's got someone's writing all the way through it, which is like a watermark. Yeah. Now, what happens in all photos for all commercial people is they actually put a watermark in there without you knowing. Okay, so they can detect whether you've robbed it, whether you've used it, and they can actually do optical OCR recognition on it to just pinpoint the actual pixel change. But either way, yes, it would have been opened up in Photoshop. Yes, it would have been saved in Photoshop. Does that prove that there's two layers that they're merging? Yes, of course, they merged that moon in there because they concentrated on a separate thing. Yes, it is photoshopped because it has to be.
Classic. All right, I'm going to drop Ranty. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. Listen, so I was just going to say, no worries. Thanks for stopping by. But we are joined by two new guests, Mind God and John Watson.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
What's up, Shrek?
Yo, Pagan, what's up, bro?
Nothing, man.
Sorry to cancel our date, dude, but YouTube just slapped me on the wrist yesterday.
Oh, shoot. Well, we can do it on my channel.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if you send me the link, we'll do that.
What's your channel? Tell everyone your channel.
Carlos Pagan.
Carlos Pagan. There we go. So
you can, if you want to find me, you can find me by searching Cold Moonlight Test.
Is that your government slave name, Carlos, or is that your Ball Earth defense name?
This is my ladies' man name. It's my name, man.
All right, cool.
Come on, man. Seriously, come on.
I'm just asking, dude. Now that you know, everybody's talking openly now, so I'm just wondering.
Oh no, just do you really think the government will waste money on my face? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, if you want to go into that, I'd be curious. Yeah.
You know what? I think the government does waste money on stupid things sometimes.
Oh man,
that's a good argument for me.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm talking to Professor Phil Bell on Friday. That should be interesting. With Fight the Flat Earth as the moderator, he's very unbiased, so I'm sure it'll be fair. So we'll see how that goes.
I would love to run a debate show of Flat Earth and Globe Earth with two moderators, one from each side, so it would be somewhat.
That's a better idea.
Ranty, you want to team up and do that one day? Just offer a platform with two moderators.
Say that again. Sorry, you broke up a little bit then.
I said, would you want to moderate with me a Flat Earth and Globe Earth debate? That way there'll be two moderators from either side.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, count me in.
You got to get a moderate microphone though, bro.
Oh gosh, yeah, I know. Well, But the problem is that nobody wants to go to Nathan Oakley's. Nobody wants to go to Fight the Flat Earth. Nobody wants to go to Jose's because everybody's biased. So
Yeah.
I would have a neutral, somewhat neutral platform and say, well, here, there's one moderator is from your side and the other moderator from the other side.
Do you guys notice that everybody's staying on their panels these days, right? No one's really.
Well, not me. Well, look at me. I'm over here at Ranty's.
Yeah, but you're a half flat earther because you're in the Bible.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
That means you have no choice but to be somewhat sympathetic to us because the Bible supports flat Earth.
No, I'm trying to be open-minded and trying to stay neutral. I listen to both sides,
Right.
and I'm not afraid to challenge my beliefs and ideas, and otherwise I would be just on an echo chamber.
That's good because other ballers won't say that, like Sean Hawkins and all those people. They'll never make a statement like that. So that's good.
Well, perhaps some people don't do well on platforms like this, but how can I say, hey, Bo Nodell, why don't you ever go out of your echo chamber when I go and do the same thing and stay in my echo chamber? So just trying to be transparent.
Yeah.
I don't want to credit.
Hey everybody. Hello.
Hey John, how's it going? I think this is the first time this will be the first time we've spoke, I think.
Microphone. Holy.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah, I'm sad to see the stramash between you and Anthony, but he's a prick, isn't he?
I'm not gonna say any different.
Yeah, okay.
I'll answer that. I'm Ranty's legal counsel. I'll answer on his behalf. Warrior's a Mason. We know that, so we don't have to talk about it.
I guess it's the one area we can find common ground in, Ranty.
Yeah, I would say so.
He's helped Flat Earth though more than he's hurt it. Net.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sleeping Warrior.
Retracted.
He's helped more than he's hurt, man. A lot.
He's in the chat.
That's not his account. I clicked on it with that extension that Ranty told me to download. It goes to Try Thinking's channel.
Oh, okay.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
I'm glad you told me to download that, dude, because it's like you can catch them right away. Pete Chase goes to Roxanne's account.
Well, maybe yours is not messed up a little bit.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm just messing with you. But the Sleeping Warrior one did actually go to Try Thinking, not the Pete Chase one. I was kidding about that, but I don't think that's actually Sleeping Warrior.
No, it's not. Try Thinking. I think he was on the show a couple of days ago.
Well, now he's in the chat, so maybe he switched back. It's confusing, man.
Yeah, and Carlos, I wouldn't mention anything about BIOS to the likes of P. Shea because it's got bi at the front of it, and we'll start this whole other rumor that everyone's bi on all these channels.
By as these Aristarchus.
Well, hang on.
That was actually really good. It worked.
I do want to follow up on that because John Watson asked the question. He said, "What has Sleeping Warrior done for Flat Earth?" Or words to that effect.
He's done a lot. You don't think, Ranty?
I have no comment.
He's submerged in water and salt.
I mean, he's done a lot of research on gravity, like looking up the papers. Even if he maybe doesn't fully get them, he's doing his best to interpret them and bring them out. I wouldn't have done that,
but he's a liar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Ranty's side. I mean, that money is his. I paid Roxanne. I deeply regret it. I could have bought half a box of golf balls with that money. It's just water under the bridge.
Yeah, but aside from all that kind of stuff, Anthony Riley is a liar. He just makes things up, and he thinks he's in an imaginary courtroom. and he's full of shit.
Him and Baldy Cats are Masons. We know that.
But
We just don't know what level, what rank.
I think the courtroom thing. Yeah, I think he likes to pretend. Well, I think he thinks that he's living in a court. I think you're absolutely right there, John. I think he associates everything he does in life with it being in like a court.
Yeah, I think Anthony's just a useless dictionary.
That's how it. That's how it appears to me that he thinks he's in some kind of imaginary courtroom in his head.
Seems.
But in actual fact, it's just a load of shit. Basically.
I can narrow it down to this. You said this word, which means this word, therefore you're wrong because you didn't use the word in this meaning. I mean, that's all I have here.
But Carlos, did you see the debate against him and FTFE? He annihilated Fight the Flat Earth back in the day. Like, mopped the floor.
I haven't seen it, but I doubt it.
You should check it out.
But
you should check it out. Be unbiased and check it out. Like, I don't know how do you turn your shill switch off in your brain? Turn that off.
I do.
And then watch it.
I tell people, the day, there's been times where I've kind of questioned the whole, not everything, but I was like, wait a minute, this is maybe something. I've had moments like that before, like seeing the guy pull another guy in the ISS with a quote unquote, string. And I was like, oh wow, that doesn't look like that. And I was like, oh my goodness, if this is true, why would they do this? And I've had this, but I look into it and I was like, oh, there you go. It's just a pinky. Like I said, I've tried multiple. I always do that. Just try to stay objective.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Carlos, that thing can't be the most compelling. The string and the pinky, man. Like no. I hope you've thought about other things.
That's not compelling. That's just like an example that I have because I genuinely looked at that and I said, wow, if they're pulling on a wire, why would the heck would they do that? They have a point, and I started looking into it. And that's just one example. But the rest of the stuff, it's just like, I mean, that's just the one that really hit me like, that wouldn't make any sense. Why would they do that? And it was like, oh, look, you just have to look at a better version of that, better quality to really see what's going on. But, there's other things too. Like the whole, why is the ISS visible for 6 minutes when it's actually, traveling, what's it called? The amount of length that it would travel, span of time, it's more than half of the circumference of the Earth or whatever. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
If you had to defend flat Earth, if you had to defend flat Earth and you were like lying because you believe it's a ball, what are top 3 things you would argue? Just hypothetical.
Let me see. I'm trying to think. Hang on.
Well, John Watson, what would you say to
that? Restate the question.
John, let's say you had to play the opposite side of, I don't know, if you're a flat earther, let's say you had to play the ball earther. If you're a ball earther, you had to play the flat earther. What are the top 3 strongest arguments for the opposing side?
I think it would be the classic, it looks flat to me. And if I had to rely on my senses, I don't think that it doesn't feel like what the Earth is spinning and etc.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that would be, yeah.
So just sense then.
Sensory, yeah.
Yeah. Not nonsense.
And what would be the best globe argument though?
I think at this point it's just the number of people. For me, it's strictly just the amount of people. To believe that many people are deceived is not easy to swallow, even if you believe other conspiracies. But that's really all they have left for me. Bottom up is a flat Earth phenomenon now because of all the other stuff. Life is short, and the black swan and all that. So optics, we're winning. I guess you guys have satellites, but there's no flat earthers putting satellites in space, so you can have that one. But I don't know. It's just really consensus at this point.
Do you think there's a medium that we can have where satellites are real, but they could be hovering up there without,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm certain. Why not? The sun and the moon would have to be suspended in some way that we would be able to understand with physics, hopefully, if we could study it. So why not piggyback on that?
Here's the thing, we're understanding things more and more as we go. Technology increases, our understanding of the world increases as we go. How, to understand what's up there right now, it might take us 500 years,
Right.
to get that technology,
Yeah. Ranty, if you have time to listen in to when I talked to Professor Bell, because he sent me his top 3 arguments and I sent him his, so we have full disclosure. And it looks like he wants to focus on scientific models, which is great because I've worked with that in the past. And I'm going to kind of use what you're saying. It's like to develop a good one, a robust one. You don't do it like over the weekend kind of thing. Like I'm talking about even on small scale stuff, much less the sun, the moon, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. How long would it take? Let's say we had a certain amount of money and the smartest, 100 people. How long would it take for us to develop a working model of a flat plane? I don't know. 5-10 years? Like full time? Top people would be Sleeping Warrior. He's the first scientist. And then I'm just
there'll be eggs in all 4 corners.
Oh, come on. Hey, let's a joke's a joke. A joke's
he'll bring
a joke.
the salt
Hey.
and all the legal books, so that'll be good.
Definitely the salt.
Oh man. How long do you think it would take, Ranty? Let's say we had 10 of the best, smartest people on Earth right now to get something where we could explain the major stuff. Or Gleem, if you want to answer that.
Yeah, go ahead, Gleem.
Major
Actually,
stuff?
that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Put it this way. Do you reckon you could explain more than 5% of the flat Earth model now?
Me, I don't think so, because I don't really think about it as much as probably you and others.
Do you think that the whole community, as in the flat Earth community, has figured out at least 5% and got it working?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Of the whole model. I'm talking stars, I'm talking sun, moon, everything.
Yeah, and we took the intersection and the best of all of them. That made sense.
Yep.
I
Cool.
think so.
Cool. I wanted you to say that, to go on it and then say, imagine if you'd built a model and in the 1900s, early 1900s, you could explain 100% of it, almost 100% of it, let's say, without being arrogant. But then 1930s and 1950s and 1980s come along, and you can no longer explain 95% of the universe as you need this supernatural dark matter and dark energy. And that is basically a failure of the globe model. And that's what I'd love to put to the globe earthers, to basically say, don't you think that's odd that as technology has got better, we've actually figured out that the model that we thought was true has got worse?
How worse? You mean less accurate, you mean, perhaps?
No, I mean, we're bedazzled by this 95% of supernatural dark stuff. It's about as much as saying God did it.
Matter universe. You said 95% of everything, as in like all the phenomena and everything else. We're talking about the matter in the universe.
No, that's everything, matter and energy. So energy and mass, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. What is you're saying it like if we went from understanding phenomena and science to then not understanding 95% of all these fields, but you're referring to just the vastness of the universe that we don't understand.
yeah, no, what's happened is we figured out all these laws, these physics laws, let's say, of gravity specifically, mainly, on Earth, and they've all worked on Earth. Then we've applied them to the solar system, the planets, and they calculated, and we've worked out a system, and they've worked. And then Einstein's come along and gone, look, I can refine this and make it even better, and that's worked. But then we've then gone, right, okay, our optical equipment has now just got brilliant in 1930s. Telescopes and microscopes all become super powerful. And you find out that all these same theories that you've just built that just worked in the solar system based on this globe Earth now falls apart outside the solar system and inside below a petri dish at the atomic level. That's why gravity's kicked out of the standard model. And gravity doesn't work.
That's not what happened.
Okay, please explain, update me.
That's not what happened. Our understanding of gravity is still in place. V. Rubin, as you know, discovered this problem, this strange thing that was happening. Now you can't throw out our understanding of gravity because of that. Because our understanding of gravity works so well in every other circumstance. So it's logical to assume that there is something else that we haven't accounted for. You can't.
Exactly.
You can't.
Yeah, no,
you
I
can't-
agree with you. I fully agree with you. I fully
You
agree with
can't
you.
throw out our understanding of gravity because of that, and it makes sense to say, yeah, there's something else. There's a missing component to our understanding.
I will
Gravity's
counter that.
been debunked.
I will say gravity has never been understood. Never been understood by any scientist who's managed to tackle it, and they've freely admitted it themselves. But I will say, I mean, I fully back you there, John. Exactly what you just said there. Yes, you need this supernatural dark stuff in order to make your model work and match observed reality. The only way you can detect this, the only evidence you've got of this, is by assuming that gravity theory is correct.
No, they're. I mean, if you go from the we can understand gravity. We use our understanding of gravity on Earth terrestrially, and within a solar system. If you believe in the solar system, it works. It works.
No, I don't doubt that on a small scale. Put it this way: if
But if you this problem that V. Rubin discovered, it points to our understanding being incomplete. That's all. It doesn't throw out our understanding of gravity.
Can I just put it in this way and flip the analogy on you, where to say if I'm a flat earther hat on, and I come up to you, John, and I say, right, I've got a 1 meter ruler in my hand, and I've just walked all the way around the world, and I've just measured the whole Earth to be net flat. Yeah, you would laugh at me. You would say, no, that's too small a tool, you idiot. That you're a tool for even thinking that you can measure curvature on such a large spherical Earth. Yeah, just using a 1 meter ruler. Now, what you would then say to me is I mean, this is impractical, obviously, but get a 10-mile ruler and you will then see the curvature and you'll know that your stupid little 1 meter ruler will not work. Now, I'm saying the same back to you with gravity. Your little one idea of gravity, yes, it works. It works as a concept on Earth. It works as a concept in the solar system, but then falls apart. And I can only just quote Richard Feynman and just basically say, if it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that means that our understanding of gravity is wrong, albeit we can use it. Yes, I can use that 1 meter ruler to measure stuff with, but that doesn't mean the Earth is flat. And
oh mate, I've got to say, quoting Richard Feynman is very, 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 very shaky ground.
It's one of my main beliefs. He's one of my core beliefs, apart from Ernst Mach. I share the same belief. He believes that he doesn't know a thing. And that's exactly what my stance is. I don't know whether the Earth is flat. I don't know whether it's a globe. As Eddie would say, but I'm looking into it. And that's simply it.
Gleem, if you were to bet like $5, what would you bet? Like just a friendly bet. I know you don't know for sure, but would you lean one way at this point?
I mean, money means nothing to me, but on the £5 bet, I would probably bet it's a globe.
Interesting. Okay.
But I do think that there's a strong evidence for a flat Earth. Definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
We can't say flatness everywhere until it's experienced everywhere. So, we could say in these observations it's flat, locally, but I don't know, to say that the whole system, I guess, would be, I don't think that's why we're more honest than the ballers, because the ballers just make absurd statements when they haven't even verified what they're saying.
Can I just ask you, Gleem, truthfully, do you think that Richard Feynman thought that the Earth was flat?
Truthfully, if you asked him, I believe he would entertain the thought, and he would say, "Yeah, I don't know. You're right. Let's do my alien thing and say I've just landed on Earth, crash landed. I've got no windows in my spaceship. How do I determine I'm on a globe and not a flat Earth?" And he'd go through all the calculations and steps, which is something that I never see globe earthers do. I mean,
what would he arrive at?
I don't know. If I knew that, then I wouldn't be on this debate show, would I? Or anything. I wouldn't even be involved in the scene. Yeah, I wouldn't be fighting for a globe, put it that way. I think I admire flat earthers regardless. You know why? Because they are the pinnacle of science. And you won't get that because you're too busy thinking they're thick as hell. But for someone who can think that far out of the box, yeah, that is what science needs, rather than people who are stuck in this I'm stuck on the mentality. And again, that is a Richard Feynman thing. Richard Feynman literally says it was something to do with uncertainty, and he goes, therefore we shouldn't predetermine or predecide what's been taught to us beforehand. Yeah, and he himself says, I myself do not believe what's been taught. It's too local, it's too provincial for one piece of God. And he actually says it was spit in his mouth, going, just one piece of God came to Earth and created all this. It's disproportional. There is no way that a little speck of dust can create all of this. And that's
Gleem, we're not outside the box. We're making sure they don't extrapolate too far outside of the box. So that's what's going on.
But it is. Put it this way: all advances in globe Earth science have been a push outside of the mainstream way of thinking. Einstein specifically, and I try and put myself back to, and if you read on the Royal Society, you try and put yourself back to Einstein in England in the 20s, I think it was 1920s. His English isn't too good anyway, and he's got to present in front of all these snobby English up their own arse science majors, basically, who run science, and he's got to tell them, look, I not that Newton's wrong, but I think I've resolved Newton's errors. Yeah. And he had to go up there and get the bollocks, and then not only just get the bollocks to do that, he then had to say, oh, by the way, it's a new fourth dimension that I'm inventing called space-time. Yeah, and seriously, they laughed him out. They goes, piss off. No way. There's no such thing. Get out here now. And seriously, and now look at us. We're fully backing it. Science fully backs it. And that was a completely out-of-the-box way of thinking. And it was. And it turned out he was correct in as much as relativity is concerned.
So, but that doesn't mean we're outside of the box now, because just they've managed to become the consensus, right?
I think out of the box is a good thing. I don't know. I think you're implying that as a bad thing. Out of the box means that you're not restricted. Not that you're crazy and loopy and you're going to do anything. You've obviously got boundaries of reality. But I'm more saying that it is that only science can only advance with alternative thinking. You can run the numbers all you want, and you can run all the different tests all you want, but you'll only end up at a certain stage where you've got a big massive book full of all these recorded tests, and you've got your specific laws and theories and whatnot, and nothing would advance from there on. And
the only reason I'm taking exception to that statement is that this type of discovery, the curvature or non-curvature, doesn't require ingenuity. It's straightforward. Like, it's not anything that's quote theoretical. It doesn't lend itself to need outside of the box thinking. The only reason we don't know right now is just because the government's preventing us from knowing, because they know. They obviously know. Certain people on this certain people on this earth, and not a handful, lots of people, know the shape in a rigorous way, in an absolutely rigorous way. And so it's not an outside of the box thing. It's just people are not telling us what's in the box. That's the issue. So it's not that deep, like other things, like underpinnings, like mathematical things, theoretical things, how the whole system works and all that. Yeah, that would require maybe outside of the box thinking, but the actual curvature or non-curvature is incredibly simple if we had the resources to do it.
You know what I loved about Feynman? He spoke about science and the nature of reality in really beautiful ways. And he once said, nature uses only the longest threads to weave her patterns, so that each small piece of her fabric reveals the organization of the entire tapestry. It's a really beautiful way to put it. I think with a lot of people, they assume that physics or what have you, or all these little sort of nuggets of understanding stand alone, but they don't. They don't. If our understanding unraveled in one corner of the tapestry, it would unravel the whole thing. Food for thought.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for us, the flatness would be a big piece of the model, because once we have that, then that's the foundation, and then we could map other things, the course of movement of different lights and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they agreed that they can only work kind of in a symbiotic way.
Gleem, if you think Richard Feynman would ever entertain something as illogical and invalid as the flat Earth, then you're an idiot. But then we know you're an idiot anyway. You're a delusional idiot.
Just come straight in with the insults.
Coming in hot, Rumpus.
Put it this way. Yeah. Put it this way, then, Rumpus. This is how stupid you are. Okay. Why would Richard Feynman not go through the step-by-step debunk of a flat Earth? Please tell me.
What do you mean? You're suggesting he was asked that and said he wouldn't? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. What I'm suggested, and just suggested a minute ago, is that if he was asked, If he was asked,
You're
he would
presuming to know
entertain.
what he would do.
Listen, he would entertain the thought experiment, and he would walk through the process on how you prove that it's a globe.
Yeah, and he'd spend about 3 nanoseconds doing it. He would know, for instance, the sun sets. That's not possible.
So what am I an idiot for again? Sorry.
Well, you're a moron. I mean, you're a moron in every regard.
Why?
Well, you're a moron because you're a flat earther or whatever
No,
it is. Well, you keep on advocating flat earth idiocy when you can just simply say, "Oh, the sun sets." That end of story. We see the dip to the horizon. Sorted. It can only be on a sphere. You can get the radius from that. Ships go over the
Your
horizon.
life would be over without this debate, mate.
What's that got to do with? So that's a deflection. Is it? Well done. So you're dodging the issue.
No, the point is, I'm in this debate, you're in this debate, and you're saying I'm a moron for being in this debate.
Yes, you are a moron. Yeah.
Do you not see the irony there?
Well, no, you're a moron for believing in a flat Earth. I didn't say you're a moron for being in the debate. I'm saying you're a moron for believing in the
Rumpus,
flat Earth.
you got to clean your ears, bro. I just asked him 10 minutes ago, and he said he leans towards the ball. So do you need a Q-tip or do you need?
Yeah, but
like,
that's not how he
hearing aid,
behaves. He says that. I mean, he just dodges around because he's.
Can you entertain the thought experiment?
Yeah, for 2 seconds, then I say, "Oh, look, sunset, bang, end of story."
What are you doing here for 5 years then, bruv?
Well, I'm not here. I'm not there. It's not as though I've travelled anywhere. It's not any great effort for me.
You come back for hours. You come back for hours, and you defend the globe. You lie about it. You do whatever you can to defend this globe.
Sorry, hold on. You just claimed I lied about something. What have I lied about?
Yes, you've lied about many things. You said the Fermat
single thing ever.
Fermat's principle was the correct understanding of refraction when it isn't. Maxwell's equations are.
Right, do you understand? Right, so if I asked you to do you know what Ohm's law is?
Do you know what Shut up, Rumpus. I'm not getting into this one.
Hold on. Do you know what Ohm's law is?
Are you going to give me some sums? Just cut to the sums.
No, it's not going to. I'm not going to give you some sums. No, I just want to know if you know what Ohm's law is, because it's going to demonstrate.
Yeah, we do, man. We do.
Hold on, I want to know if Gleem knows what Ohm's law is.
Of course he knows.
You carry on. You carry on,
Rumpus. No, but I need to know, because if you don't know...
Why are you changing the topic?
I know, I want to pick on something you do know, and then I want to develop an argument. If you don't know what it is, I'll
but we were talking about Fermat's principle not being the correct understanding of how light works.
I am, and I'm going to meet that directly head on, but I'm going to demonstrate a principle first as to why I said what I said. So do you understand what Ohm's law is?
Why are we talking about Ohm's law?
Because I want to demonstrate a principle of the layers of understanding of problems. And when you've told me something, if you understand it, I will then explain how Ohm's law is related to this subject. And then you will understand the principle that I was describing, which was entirely correct. My answer to you was entirely correct. But I need to...
It wasn't, Rumpus. It wasn't.
Well, I explained it. Just answer the...
No, it was not correct. I cited Fermilab, for God's sake.
You'll see that when I make the explanation, and then you'll be able to criticise it.
I cited Fermilab.
First of all, do you know what Ohm's law is? You don't need to understand the details.
Yes, but I'm not going down this path of deflection and distraction because you lied.
I'm now going to explain the point. So if I asked you to say, what determines Ohm's law, you would say, well... voltage over current is equal to resistance. Hold on. And so if you were designing circuits, that's all you'd need to know. But then I could say to you, but that's not a full explanation, Gleem. You need to go to the quantum mechanical explanation of that. You're not giving me the full answer. And the point is, when I gave you the answer I did about Fermat's principle, you can always go further and regress further and further and further down into the argument. The point is that Fermat's law is the first useful stopping point that you can then apply. And from Fermat's law, you can get Snell's law. But you can go deeper than Fermat's law into
Just like Newton's and Einstein's gravity.
Nearly there.
I know. You said this at the time, but didn't excuse you being wrong.
Nearly finished. And you can go, I could say to you, well, Maxwell's law is not an explanation either, because you can go deep into Maxwell's law and say, well, why is Maxwell's law what it is? And so I could have gone to a quantum mechanical explanation and then said, Gleem, Maxwell's law doesn't account for this. You didn't go into quantum mechanics. And so because you don't understand the layers of explanation, and because you're a moron, you don't understand which layer.
I told you all 4 propositions.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyone in that whole chat that knew that, I don't even think you did.
On the subject, which I knew all about, and I gave you the top level. And because you've seen one video on how refraction works, you then think you know it. But you've never done a calculation on refraction or Snell's law or any of this. All you've done is watch one video on refraction, and you're a moron and you don't understand it.
You're just making lies up.
Go ahead.
Just making lies up, mate. You're just making lies up and deflecting from the truth.
you telling me you've done any sort of work on Fermat's principle or the maths of refraction? Have you ever done any of that?
I've done Snell's law, definitely. I've done calculations on Snell's law.
Right, but you haven't done
And the critical angle, 0.02 degrees.
You've never done it on Fermat's principle, have you? So you don't. Do you understand how Fermat's law proves Snell's law? Do you understand that?
Yes, they are
You
derivative of each
excellent.
other. Yes,
Okay.
I understand that, but you said it was the correct understanding, and it wasn't.
Because it
It's
is.
not.
And I'll explain
It is an
why.
approximation.
No,
It's
what's
not
an
the correct understanding, mate.
Hold on, what's an approximation?
Maxwell equations.
You do
was
not need
Correct
to go into
understanding of
Maxwell
how
equations
light works.
to use the law of refraction. No one.
This way.
No
Listen.
one.
Okay.
no
Okay.
one-
Listen.
No one.
Rumpus.
No
Rumpus.
one uses Maxwell's equations
Okay.
to do refraction
That's fine.
calculations.
No, that's cool.
No
Okay.
one does, Gleem. No one
Rumpus,
does.
can I
So
just
to
make this one
claim that
comment and leave it here? Can
somehow
I make this one
Maxwell's-
comment?
To claim that Maxwell's equations are somehow relevant to doing optical operations or refraction
Rumpus,
is
could you just make me...
Yeah, hold on,
Let me make
Rumpus.
this
Hold
one
on.
thing.
Let him make this point, please.
One final point, and I'm going to shut up because you just wind me the hell up and just chat a load of nonsense.
Rumpus,
I mean,
dude, are you in a
all
bad
guns
mood, dude?
blazing. Yeah,
Relax.
you seriously need some woman.
Gleem's a moron. He annoys
But
me.
anyway, oh man, whatever.
Would entertain matter. That's going to light my fuse.
Let me make this one last comment.
Go ahead.
The refractive index is calculated by Maxwell's equations. Full stop. I'm gone.
Bye.
Mic drop. Boom. It's flat.
Yes, you don't understand. You never use Maxwell's equations in refraction. If
The
you
refractive index is Maxwell's equations, you idiot. That's where they come from.
But Maxwell's equations come from quantum mechanics, in effect. You do not use Maxwell's equations to do refraction calculations ever.
Rumpus, let me give you a little thought
Watch a
experiment.
video which someone's explained to you how refraction works, and you think because you've watched one video on it, you think you know it, and you don't know it at
Rumpus,
all.
did you know that the refractive index
no
is
one
calculated
uses
using
Maxwell's
Maxwell's
equations.
equations? Did you
No
know that the
one
refractive index
uses
is Maxwell's equation?
equations in refraction calculations.
Please look it up.
No one uses
Right.
Maxwell's equations when dealing with refraction. No one. Yes,
In that.
Rumpus,
You-
sorry, were you saying Fermat's is more generalized to Snell? It's the more general understanding?
You can derive Snell's law from Fermat's principle.
Okay.
Then
No, that's cool.
to explain Fermat's principle, you then have to go into Maxwell's equations. And if you want to explain Maxwell's equations, you have to go into a layer deeper than that. And Gleem, because he's seen a video on this, thought, oh, look, this is another layer here. He didn't mention that. I mentioned the thing like...
Okay, so what's your... hang on, what's your authority on it? You just said that because Gleem has seen a video on this. What's your authority on this?
Because I understand refraction. I've
Yeah,
done
no. What's your authority on it? I mean, give us some accreditations here. You know, what have you done at university? All this kind of stuff. No. You just said because I want to. This is fair enough.
Just answer his question. It's so simple.
Can I answer?
He's done
please?
his thesis in deflection of magnetism. Come on.
I'm going to answer Ranty's question. I want to answer Ranty's question.
PhD in deflection.
I
Go
would
ahead,
like
Rumpus.
to answer Ranty's question.
Yes.
He is the one making the claim that Maxwell's equations are relevant to subjects of refraction. They are not. So the burden of proof is on him, not me. I want him to go and find some mention of refraction or optics or something like that, or determining the paths of light through medium, that anybody goes away and uses Maxwell's equations, because they won't. They'll either use Fermat's principle or Snell's law. They will not use Maxwell's equation, so Maxwell's equations are completely irrelevant.
Unless you're using the refractive index.
Oh my God, no. Go away and find something that shows that then. The refractive index is something that you measure. So then you end up with a refractive index, and from that you can then use Fermat's law, and then from that Snell's law. You do not go into Maxwell's equations to do anything in optics or refraction at all.
Okay,
You
so
measure refractive index.
let me ask
Can I
again.
ask him a
Hang
question?
on. No.
Okay.
Just what's your authority in this argument
He's the one
here?
making the claim.
No,
Ranty.
what's your authority? Because you're
He's
talking
the
over.
one
Wait a
making
minute,
the
you're
claim.
talking over everybody. And at some point you've been on the show before and said that you're the guy to go to for the Globe on this kind of stuff.
I remember that.
You know, I'm just asking you. You know, what's your authority on this? What is it that gives you the authority to be able to do this?
Rumpus, do you understand what he's asking? It's a simple question. It's just
Yeah,
what
but I was
textbook,
dealing
what
with the claim from
course.
Gleem. If you want me, do you want to talk about Maxwell's equations?
No,
No,
I
he's
want to
saying-
talk about your
Oh my
You have
authority.
to talk about Ranty.
It's such a simple question, dude. It's such a
what
simple
subject?
question.
What do you want me to talk about?
It's just if you're going to make the statement that watching a video is not enough to gain your level of expertise, Ranty's asking a simple question: what is the foundational? Is it a book? Is it a course? Is it some insight?
Science.
Where did you get your
Maxwell's
understanding?
equations. I understand how they're derived. I've read books. I've read books on it. I agree. I am.
So are we basing this on who has the better understanding of something?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So how can we quantify that?
Well, Gleem knows nothing about science.
Yeah, but how can I or the audience quantify you just saying that you have a bigger brain than Gleem?
Yeah, prove it.
You just
how do we know?
Okay, Ranty, I think you just showed some Maxwell's equations. Do you want to bring them up again?
No, we're asking you what's your authority on this.
Well, I'm about to show you. I'm about to demonstrate it live if you bring up those equations.
Yeah, but we need
some
tangible proofs. Tangible proofs.
I'm about to show you. Bring up the equations you just had on screen.
I didn't show anything.
Well, okay, who did? Someone did. Was it?
That was me.
Dude,
you don't need me. You don't need me on my Google.
Okay, I will go and get them.
There's irony in what just happened there, dude. You're leaning on the person that you're making fun of.
It wasn't me. Jesus Christ, it wasn't difficult.
You're just having Maxwell equations hot flashes, dude. Just chill out, man. Like, relax, dude.
Shout out to Cleary for the $2 super chat. There is nothing standard about refraction. Indeed.
If you don't believe in 7/6R, you're a moron. That's the way it works. So just deal with it.
Right, so these are things that apparently Gleem is an expert on.
No. Did he say that he's an expert on anything?
He knows about more about
Never said I'm
did
an
you
expert.
say? Did you say you're an expert?
Never an expert.
Okay, so he's never said that he's an expert. Okay, so
I said you lied about what was the best theory of light.
He's more expert than I am on them, so we're going to take.
Wait a minute. So if he's not an expert, does that mean that you are an expert?
Well, I know a lot more about it than Gleem. I wouldn't say I'm an expert.
How do you know about it? What gives you the authority to say that?
Because I've studied it, you utter.
Where have you studied it? Where have you studied
it? At university.
What did you study?
Sorry?
What did you study specifically?
Physics.
Yeah, but what did you study specifically?
Yes, and the title of your thesis again, please, just for comedy, if you don't mind reciting that.
I'm not going to recite anything regarding that.
You told us it has deflection in it. Just please help us. Just
hold on. I'm just grabbing this bloody. Right. So can you see this? What I've got on screen? This is the Maxwell's equations.
Hang on. Wait a minute. You still not answered the question.
I have. I told you I studied this at university, and I understand it. I've got a book on my bed that goes into this that I've been reading.
Well, no, you don't need to get into personal
we're
stuff,
going to find out, Ranty. We've got a test.
Ranty,
we'll go and find now.
No, wait a minute. How do we know? How do we know that you have a book on your bed?
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Well, Ranty, then the answer to the question is impossible if you're not prepared to accept that.
Because you've got a book on your bed, does it mean you've read it?
Right. Like Rumpus, I have a flat book on my bed, so the Earth is flat.
I tell you, there's no point in asking me a question if you're not prepared to accept the answer. But we've got an objective test coming up, because I would like Gleem to tell me what the little triangle you can see here. See where it says differential equations? Just as sort of a first step. Would you please tell me what this little inverted triangle means on these differential equations?
It's a gradient. It's a gradient operator.
Hold on. Let's let Gleem to describe it, please. Don't
but Gleem and I, we're a team, dude. This is a flat Earth team.
Mind of God, Gleem.
Yes.
Would you please describe what this formula is here? This is one of the Maxwell's 4 equations. No doubt you're familiar with the fact there are 4.
Yes, that's the electric field, and then the next one down is the magnetic field. Come on, Rumpus.
You've jumped. What about this little triangle thing?
That's the derivative. That's the curl.
That's the curl. You're wrong. It's not the curl, you twat. Whoever just told you that, or you just read up, you're wrong.
I'm just literally reading it. It's looking at the screen with my hands in the head.
That's not the curl. You're a moron.
That is the ending of it. That's
there we go. So there we go. He's just been exposed. He doesn't even know what the symbols mean in the Maxwell's equations. You are a moron.
Okay. So you say that. Okay, listen. Hold on.
Know what the symbols mean.
Right. Hang on. Well, hang on before you wait. So can you go there? Wait. So Emperor's circuital law, is that right? The 4th one down in the box, right? Could you read that equation to us layman's here, starting with the integral equations? Could you read that specifically how it's read and say it out to everybody?
Okay, this is the line integral of the magnetic field across a length is equal to the magnetic what's it called? Come on,
what is it? Come on, don't stutter. Just because Gleem got it wrong before, he took time to not know.
Wrong.
Well, come on, tell us what it is. Don't stutter. No, go back to it. Go back. Tell us what it is.
Shut up.
Go back to after equals.
Shut up. I'm doing it. It's the magnetic permittivity bracket the double integral of the current with the dot product with the surface element plus the electric permittivity with the time derivative of the double integral of the electric field with the surface element.
And what's the next one? And I don't know if this is correct or not.
This is the curl, right?
It sounds correct.
This is the curl of the magnetic field is equal to the magnetic permittivity bracket.
What of the magnetic field, sorry?
The curl. He said the curl. Exactly what you said. Exactly what you said.
Yeah, that's the thing you mentioned, which you just randomly picked out.
He said the curl. He said the curl on the triangle that's upside down.
Yeah, no, he said that was the curl of the electric field.
No, you pointed to the triangle that was upside down. It was and he said that's the curl.
You twat, listen, Ranty, shut up, listen. The curl is dependent on the operator, whether it's a cross. It's not just a function of the triangle, you twat. Stop interrupting and being a twat. Okay. So this is the curl of the magnetic field, and this is the magnetic permittivity and the electric, etc., etc. So
No, don't do the etc. Read the last bit. Read the last bit out. Finish it off.
No, he's got that. He knows that anyway. It's a derivative time.
Static permittivity with the partial derivative of the electric field with time. Now, Gleem couldn't have done any of that because he's a moron and
yes,
he knows nothing.
I could have. I wouldn't have got that bit.
Well, hang on, wait a minute. Hang on.
Anything you've done is to watch a video on
this. Well, hang on. Let me just do something. I want to applaud you, Rumpus. Hold on.
Rumpus, chill out, dude.
Hold on. I'm giving you a clap because if that's correct, then yeah, hats off, mate.
Seriously, from what I can gather, that was correct. But I'm seriously not claiming to know this. I was just claiming to know that Fermat's principle is not the correct understanding of light, and neither was the marching soldiers, and neither was Huygens' principle. You're wrong. You were wrong, and you got told you were wrong, and you flipped out.
And you were wrong because, as I was explaining to you with the Ohm's law, you don't go down several layers down. You use what you use in practice with refraction, which is Fermat's principle. You do not use, as I said earlier, Maxwell's equations in any refraction calculation. No.
Gonna do a massive shout out to Mason B for smashing the super chat, $1.99, who says Rumpus is an utter. I'll do a couple more. Utter moron. The Minor Glob and Gleem are ace. Cheers for the super chat. Thank you very much.
Of how light behaves in a medium that's varying. Now, if you then wish to explain why Fermat's principle is true, then you have to go to another layer down, like with the Ohm's law. And
wait, Rumpus, can I ask a question? Is Fermat's law like a sampling of the Maxwell, like it's one ray kind of concept, or what is it one instance of?
What Fermat's law states is that light will follow the quickest route from 2 points in a varying medium, and that could be a curve, a wiggly line, a ladder shape, anything it likes, to go from point A to point B as quickly as it goddamn well can. That's all the Fermat's law principle. And from that, and if you then know the density, the refractive index of the medium you're going through, you can then use it, and it will then pop Snell's law, where you have a nice clean boundary between two mediums.
Right. Okay. So they're all consistent. It's just one is the most generalized, right, Maxwell?
Well, yeah, that's right. It's layers of explanation. You can start off with Snell's law and say this is the simple one. This is the one that Gleem apparently has done something at school at, which I doubt you ever got right. Then you have to use Fermat's law to prove that, and then underneath that you have to use Maxwell's equation, and then underneath that you have to use.
Just a quick one. Just a quick one there, Rumpus. What was the E and B? Did I get that right? Electric and the magnetic. Did I get that right?
You did get.
Yes. So shut up, you idiot. Stop saying that I'm fucking completely fit, because I'm not.
You know not.
You know
the very first thing you were asked to present, you got wrong.
Okay, let me present something.
So Rumpus, right? Okay, hang on, wait a minute. So Rumpus, right? So after all this, we've confirmed that you have a slightly bigger dick than Gleem, right?
Considerably.
Okay.
He's been to
considerably bigger.
No, he's been to university.
Minimal.
This is
minimal.
positively insignificant in comparison. is positively minute, positively needing of a search party with an electron microscope to find his.
All right, Rumpus. Now it's shrinking because you're projecting. So just chill out. You know what I mean?
So here is Fermilab on your screen. If you can all see that, Fermilab. Why does light bend when it enters glass? Yeah, talking about refraction. Talking about the 3 proposed principles, which was Fermat's principle, the one that he's talking about, marching soldier analogy, and the Huygens principle.
This is the video he's watched, guys. This is the one video he's watched. Yes. Yeah.
But and look at you smiling because you know you're wrong, mate.
There are layers. I've explained to you. I
pulled you up on it, and you freaked out.
You're wrong. You're a moron. You do not understand the layers.
So that's not an explanation. So we need to come up with a proper
layers of explanation. No one uses Maxwell's equations.
Every single one and why they're wrong.
Let's try it again. No one uses Maxwell's equations to work out how things refract. No one. So just because you've seen a 15-minute video by this guy and he says the deepest...
It's not just this guy. This is mainstream science and you disagreed with it, so I chirped in.
I don't disagree with it. I don't disagree with anything in this video, you twat. Where did you get that from? I don't disagree with
you. Are disagreeing with what I just said. I just said Maxwell is the correct understanding of light, and that's what I pulled you on.
The understanding of light. That's not deep enough. If you want to say what do you mean by the understanding of light? You have to decide what the context is. If we're talking about refraction, then the layer that's useful, like Ohm's law is useful in circuit theory. You don't go any deeper than Ohm's law. You don't get involved in quantum mechanical effect of how current flows through objects. You say Ohm's law is the level at which I would be useful to do network analysis. That's the level you work to. Similarly, you work with Fermat's law.
Mate.
You work with Fermat's law when you want to sort out refraction. You don't use Maxwell's equations. No one does.
Okay.
You've seen the video and you think you understand it. Jesus Christ.
All right, Rumpus, just relax. You win, dude. Just take a break. You know, everything's good, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me do a shout out to Cleary. Globeheads talk about math but can't solve shite. Thank you for the $2 super chat.
Yeah, Rumpus, if you have all this knowledge, why don't you give us a good, robust solution instead of just all these hand-wavy, stupid theodolite and nonsense?
What do you mean? I always give formulas, I always give maths, and I always give physics every time. I never just say...
Here, check this out. How about this? Let's say we gave you access to Ranty's brand new drone. How would you use that to solve the shape of the Earth? Let's just, hypothetically, how would you use another instrument besides something that involves optics? Okay,
there are 2 things you could do with a drone. One, you could establish that when the sun goes over the horizon and behind it, because of the Earth's sphere, when you go upwards, you find, oh look, you can see the sun again. So that would demonstrate that the sun is hiding behind an obstruction, which cannot happen on the flat Earth. So that would be one proof you could use for it.
No, height always improves visibility. Height always improves visibility on any model.
Say again.
Height always improves visibility, like fundamentally. It doesn't matter what the surface is.
Yes, it wouldn't, mind of God. On a flat Earth, you cannot have the sun going below the horizon, because otherwise everything... Hold on, let me finish. Because if you did, then everything on the flat Earth would go dark, and then we know
what happened. Hang on, wait a minute. You just did a demonstration before where light bends down in a tank.
Yeah, sugar water, baby.
Sugar water, baby.
Yeah, but it only does it a little bit. But the thing is,
it needs a little bit.
We completely lose the sun. And if that everywhere on the sun on a flat Earth would go dark. From that one observation, we can say the flat Earth.
Rumpus, how long have you known it's flat, man? Let's come out with it, dude.
Is this the only
come out of the closet?
Mind of God, is this the only argument you've got now?
No, sorry. Give me the second point.
I just gave you an observation that you could make.
All right, give me a second one. That one's not unique. Give me a second one.
What do you mean?
We're about to go on to a second
one. On a flat Earth, you cannot have that happening.
I'm looking for a unique solution.
A sunset eliminates the possibility of us living on a flat Earth. Full stop. End of story.
Dismissed. I want a unique solution. Give me another one.
Wouldn't entertain it for a second, despite what Gleem got in his little head that he thought up somewhere.
Okay, give me another one.
How could you have the sun going below the flat Earth and therefore not the whole of the Earth becoming dark? How do you work that out?
Right, so a sunset happens by the Earth moving and then the sun goes below our feet. Really? You want us to believe that?
So if you're on a plate, So if you're on a plate, say the flat Earth, and the sun goes below the plate and we're all living on top of the plate, how come, if that is the case and we see it go below the plate, how come the whole of the world doesn't go dark at the same time?
How come the whole of the world doesn't go dark at the same time?
This is very simple. I mean, no, this is the thing I first talked to you about, about a year ago, and you didn't understand this was a problem. And you then said, oh, the sun just goes further away. And then you didn't realise that when things go further away, that they have to get smaller. And I then had to explain to you for an hour how basic perspective works. And you clearly have still got a problem with this simple geometrical case. If the sun goes below the plate-shaped flat Earth, then everything's got to go dark.
No, but you're using terminology that's not correct when you're talking about going below it. That's not what's actually happening.
So what happens? So you don't think the sun goes below the horizon then?
Well, it's the same if the bottom up. We have the same difference of opinion on whether that happens, locally or up
below
there.
The horizon, do you?
Sorry, say that once
more. Do you agree the sun goes below the horizon?
No, it's vanishing into the horizon.
So you think it's getting further away?
Do I think it's getting further away?
Do you think it goes, when you say, what do you mean by going into? It goes below the horizon. It keeps on going down.
No, but you're using terminology that's going to lead me towards your understanding.
Basic geometry.
No, I'm just saying we have a fundamental. One second. We have a fundamental difference.
You're trying to dodge geometry. You're trying to invalidate geometry. Yes, I'm exposing your idiocy. I'm exposing your delusion. I'm exposing your lack of logic. I'm exposing you're so addicted to your delusion. You're going to invalidate geometrical facts.
You're showing your ego peacock feathers, mate. Shut up.
Come on, God. So explain to me how geometrically something can go below the horizon on a flat
plate. You're using a term that's inducing an answer that I wouldn't use that language to describe bottom. One second. I wouldn't use that language to describe the sun disappearing bottom up.
Down, then? Below
it would be the exact similar. It would be the same concept as what we've shown locally, like across flat surfaces.
The sun goes below
the top of this. Here's a more general way. The top of the sun always has a visual preference to anybody than the bottom. Always, 100% of the time, strictly because it's higher.
The whole sun goes below the horizon. How do you explain that?
The whole sun goes below the horizon. What do you mean by that?
The whole sun goes below the horizon. If you're looking at the sun, you're looking at the horizon. The sun goes down. You might half of it's gone down, 3/4 it's gone down, and then all of it's gone down.
Okay, 1 second. Let me challenge that. So if you would see an instance where it collapsed more uniformly, then would you leave the ball Earth? You believe that that's something that happens every single day?
What do you mean by collapse uniformly?
Well, you're saying that the bottom is disappearing first, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if there would be an instance, and I can't say I have one off the top of my
I'll bet you have.
But no, but if you could see the sun in one instance and it disappears more uniformly, would that challenge your narrative then that the sun is 93 million miles away?
Well, no, because if it disappears from your view on a flat Earth, it has to disappear for everybody's. So even
I'm not talking about on a flat Earth. We were talking about real observations.
Would still have a problem.
But why? You're the one that's saying that that's the uniqueness of the ball.
If you can't see the sun, and the sun on the flat Earth is supposed to be always above, it would always be visible. If it goes below something or disappears, it jumps, it goes. I mean, if I grant you, which I won't, that it then jumps below the bottom of the horizon, and therefore everything goes dark, it would have to go dark for everybody.
But you're using a below because that's just
it's going down.
Convenient for your model.
The sun goes down in the sky. It's going down. It hits the horizon, goes below it goes dark. That's a perfectly accurate description of what happens. And if that happens on a flat Earth, everywhere would have to go dark, and that doesn't happen. So it's invalidated. Full stop.
Well, you're making multiple claims there, which I don't know why you're.
It was simple geometry. I mean, you really can't get to grips with this simple geometry. Is that really?
Well, you're assuming that light source is strong enough to illuminate the entire Earth, which is I don't know why you're even.
It doesn't change in size, so it can't be due to getting further away because it doesn't change in size. It goes down. It gets dark because it's clearly obstructed.
No, but I don't know why you're making 2 points when we're just talking about one thing, and I don't know why you're talking about the sun illuminating the whole Earth. Why are you making a statement?
You're saying the sun doesn't illuminate the whole Earth.
You don't know. How do you know that? Like, why do you think that's the case?
All you're saying is, I don't know. Whereas if you think about geometrically, there is no way out for you. If the sun goes below, becomes dark for an individual on a flat Earth, then it's got to get dark for everybody if it goes down below the horizon, which it does.
But you'd have to know the intensity of the light source and how much it can reach, right?
It's irrelevant. If you watch, I mean, we've got videos. I mean, you can't presumably be claiming you haven't seen sunsets of the sun going down below the horizon. I mean, surely you're not going to go to that desperate level. So if that happens and it goes dark then it has to go dark for everybody on a flat Earth because it's gone below the edge of your flat Earth plate.
Dude, Rumpus, you were doing so well with Maxwell, and now I don't know what just happened, dude. You're just
Well,
I don't know
this
what
is
you're
simple
talking
geometry.
about, dude.
I mean, a child could understand something. I don't know whether you're so addicted to your religious zealotry addiction that you cannot cope with simple geometry, or at least your brain, when it comes to something that conflicts with your religious beliefs, you just reject basic geometry, or you don't understand geometry. I don't know which it is. Do you understand basic geometry, or does it simply your brain closes down when it conflicts with your religious beliefs?
Well, no. We were talking about geometry, and then you went to strength of the illumination of the sun for the whole Earth, and that's the part I don't know why you added that piece.
It's below. Right, if you imagine surely you know.
Okay, hang on, hold on one guy. Just a second here. We've got John Watson.
Hold on.
We've got John Watson in the panel too, you know. I mean, if John wants to pipe up at some point as well and make his voice heard as well.
Sorry about that.
That will no, I'm just saying that. Mind the God, it's fine. It's just you know, I don't want it to be dominated.
Excited today,
I don't want it to be dominated. I don't want it to be dominated too much by just one individual. So let's try and get a few voices going on here. So, John,
we're gonna baptize Rumpus into the flat Earth pool today. So this is gonna be good. So, but yeah, John, go for it. Sorry.
That's if he's around right now.
Yeah.
But if he's not,
I don't like the way you treated Gleem, man. You got to chill out, dude. Even if people say statements that are not tight, you don't think they're tight, you know, help us tighten it then if you're smarter.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so John, you've come off mute.
Yeah, I don't. I kind of lost track. It's just it got so ferocious that I wasn't really listening. But
I'll do a quick summary.
You could.
Basically,
hold on, Rumpus. Yeah, hold on.
You could derive, you know, the basic principles of electromagnetism from Maxwell. You could. Not that we do, but you could. But I'm not really. I'm really not very au fait with what the fuck you were arguing about. It's just a big load of nonsense. I completely lost interest.
Do you know what Fermat's principle is, John?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Yes, I know what it is. What is it? Rumpus.
Calm down. Let him respond. He said he knows what it is. Let him answer.
Well uptight, isn't he?
Yeah. Calm down, Rumpus. I know you're hot tonight. Jeez.
Well, he just said what it was, and he keeps on saying, "I know what it is," and he won't say what it is.
Well, he said he knows what it is, but then he said, "Well, what is it?" It's like
you won't give him a chance.
It was going.
We know what it is. It allows rays to curve for 10 miles, like the Black Swan. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Sorry. Go for it. My bad.
Now,
it's a deviation from straight. It's a deviation from straight.
Remember, right. I know you're a bit upset and everything. But
no.
Remember that I am a globe earther.
Yeah, I know that. So you should be able to tell us what the Fermat's principle is.
No, I don't need to do that.
You don't know what it is.
I don't need to play that.
You don't know what it is, do you? Right.
No, I don't.
No, you don't. Great. That's what I thought so. Right. So
but hang on. That doesn't mean that his voice isn't important in this particular debate, because John Watson's there all the time in the chats, and I'd like to listen to what he's got to say.
Okay.
So, John, what's your opinion on this? For when you see the sun setting, what do you see with that? Have you ever seen instances where it hasn't conformed to what you think it should conform to?
Yeah, that's what I was asking him. Sorry, that's a better way to word it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean it. Just to be completely honest, there are times when it doesn't appear to conform to the sort of standard globe understanding, and there is a grey area which you might kind of I know you could think of something else is happening or whatever. It's not. If you're taking just observations. Yeah, there. Of course, there is room for manoeuvre there. But yeah, I just want to say, Rumpus, you know, I've got a lot of respect for you.
No, you haven't.
You're a very knowledgeable man. Obviously, you are.
Is this why you
Hang on, just hold
on.
on. Just let him finish what he's got to say, and then you can respond. Please,
Well,
halfway
it's just
through. No. Let him finish. Let him finish, please.
You thrented to beat me up in the hangout. Just a
Okay,
few months ago.
just let him finish, please.
You came into drunk.
Okay, let him
to a hangout of mine and threatened to beat me up straight off.
No wonder.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. All I said
video.
was
Got it on video.
all I said was that you.
I give up.
Little comments like that, yeah.
That was all as far as I can remember.
So hang on. What was it you said? What was it? Sorry, John.
Most of us could agree that you know, when people are kind of talking at a step and it's a sort of a Scottish kind of thing.
Yeah, I know it's a Scottish sort of thing. Yeah, and you should
you
refrain
could do with
from
the boot and the balls sometimes.
Yeah. I think you could do it.
You just your mouth runs away with you.
Doesn't
Rumpus.
Not at all.
I'm
very measured.
You can't stop talking, and it's you need to just fucking.
You need to learn how to finish a sentence. That's what you need to do.
Oh, really?
Trolls versus trolls.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Hey, Carlos, by the way, Carlos, great points you were making earlier about the rotation. Well said, absolutely on the money with the rotation of the Himurawa and the Epic video. And the
Well, hang on. Wait a minute. John Watson was in the middle. Wait a minute. John Watson was in the middle. Hold on. He was in the middle of paying you a massive compliment right then. I'm just wanting to hear what he was going to finish by saying, and then we can move on. You know, if you've got a problem, that's fine. But if he's going to be paying compliments to you, I'd want to hear it. If I was you.
He's not. I don't want to hear any compliments from John.
Ranty, he was paying a compliment to me. I want to hear it too.
I was busy complimenting Carlos. Now, there's someone who does deserve compliments. John can pay all his compliments he's given to me to Carlos, who was doing a great job earlier about correcting Gleem and other people, about the rotation of the Earth. And Carlos exactly got it right, that one image was going for about 12 hours and the other one was going for 2. And then also the fact that the Himurawa is geosynchronous, and therefore you could spot change in the cloud much more easily than you can on the Epic one, which is out in space at a Lagrange point and looking at a rotating Earth.
Lagrange point, that's what I couldn't remember. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, you know it, Carlos.
Yeah, it's amazing. Ranty.
Spell like.
LAGRENT.
Hold on. Go ahead, John.
Saying.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Rumpus. You know, I really think you're a very, very intelligent man, and you've all the things that you pretty much everything that you have to say. I listen to and take on board, and it pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, is correct. But shit, man.
No, don't say that, dude. That's not true.
You need to just well, you know, that's subjective.
Sure.
But just hold your horses, man. You know. It's not a race against time. Just chill the fuck out. That's my.
I'll get chilling.
Right. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Cheers.
Good stuff.
Rumpus, you should sell your diet plan and what you drink. People would love that energy, dude. Like, make a website. You know, come up with meal plans.
It could be that I'm recovering from having flu for about 6 weeks. It doesn't help.
Okay, how's your shoulder? How's your shoulder, man? You were planning to release that PDF, 666 megabytes. You were waiting for it.
I'm working on it. I've got people who are prepared to pay me money to see that, and I haven't finished it. Yes, I know.
Oh, I'm
so
certain.
Rumpus is going to release it when we go back to the moon. Dang it!
Rumpus is always sick or hurt. That's his excuse every time.
Yeah, my shoulder. I can't click the button. My shoulder hurts.
In fact, Chris was one of the Chris actually very annoyingly managed to get hold of a pre-release version of it about a year ago, which I had only about 150 pages in instead of the 250 it's got at the moment.
And then Corona came, and then he ran out of toilet paper, and then he used it for toilet paper.
No,
here's what happened.
Here's what happened, CP. I used it against him. He didn't like it, and then he took it down.
No, I didn't use it against me at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you had some of Sally's stuff in there, and I asked, well, why is the same building from the
still
same
in
height?
there, Chris? It's still in there, so you'll be pleased.
Yeah, but it's not publicly available. It's not publicly available, correct?
Rumpus, send it to us, man. Let's take a look. I'll go through it.
I'm not. The reason I took it away so that Chris couldn't see it anymore, he was hopefully the only person who ever saw it, was that it just had, the odd spelling mistake. It wasn't structured properly. Actually, I've added a whole lot more stuff. And I like things to be presented when they have a certain quality. And he was looking at something that was an alpha version. And so also I learned from trying to, in fact, actually, I learned from speaking to actually on this channel when I was explaining to Ranty and people like Toady, for instance, couldn't understand the ray trace. And in fact, even Barney couldn't understand the ray trace diagrams. And I then realized that I needed to make it much simpler. And I couldn't rely on, say, people like Carlos, who would immediately understand what I'm doing, and people like Toady and other morons that they didn't understand what it was. Even Barney's, and now there's an intelligent guy, and he wouldn't understand these ray trace diagrams. So I then realised I'm going to have to make this a bit simpler and do it in stages. So,
but Rumpus, wouldn't your ray tracer, the propagator, need Maxwell's? It's not just purely the
Fermat.
No,
it uses Fermat's principle because that's the only thing you need. You don't need to get involved with Maxwell's.
Oh, I was just wondering. No, I'm just wondering. So you guys do everything point to point then, like
Rumpus.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Can we not talk about the ratings of the water for once?
I got a question for Rumpus.
We were talking about his ray tracer.
Yeah, earlier Rumpus said that he was asking CP if he's ever seen a sunset where the sun goes over the horizon. And you kept saying geometry. So Rumpus, are you backtracking? Are you now saying the horizon is geometric?
The horizon is apparent, but for the purposes
when the sun goes over the parent position, then
right. But the point is, the sun goes over it so far that it goes over the geometric and the apparent and shoots around.
That's so bad.
Wait there. No, wait there. Isn't the sun apparent as well? The sun's 5 minutes ahead of it.
Correct. My God, Gleem, you actually something's correct. The sun is actually isn't apparent. In fact, this is the principal point that I was trying to make, that apparently it's only just been understood by Nathan and others. I was shouting 3 years ago, and Ranty was there too, that everything you see is apparent. It's all shifted. It's all loomed up. It's all not where it appears to with just simple geometry. And then Nathan would then say, oh, look, this is everything's a mirage. It's all a hologram, these people are saying. He's only now caught up with the idea that we were telling him that everything you saw was apparent, that the refraction caused the horizon to be an apparent horizon, and only now he's just discovered that's what we were talking about 3 years ago. So, yes, something like the sun is not actually where it appears to be, just like the trees. When you go outside and you look at a tree a few hundred yards away, it's actually a quarter of an inch or so, actually, from where it really is, due to standard refraction. And so the sun... And that's Gleem. It's not, just simple refraction. And Gleem's actually right. Gleem's actually right. The sun actually has set in terms of geometrically before you actually see it, because the refraction looms it up. And so yes, there is a slight error between. Nearly finished. And so there's a slight error between where the sun appears to be and where it is, but that's not enough to account for the fact that it disappears completely. Finished.
So the sun then goes behind a refracted horizon and not geometry, then, correct?
What you see is a combination of geometry and refraction. I know it's difficult for flat earthers to cope with two things at the same time, but there's a geometry and there's refraction. The two combined give the effect. I didn't hear what you said.
What's the proof of geometry, though, if the horizons are always refracted?
Well, we have pictures from space of what the Earth's doing. We also have things that aren't affected by.
I see you're doing a little double dipping, Rumpus.
I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we have geodetic receivers around this country. 75 appears to be where it is, but that's measure exactly what the Earth is in its shape. So we have lots of independent ways of measuring the fact that, as I say, just by measuring the dip angle, you can determine within about 5% of the radius of the Earth.
What's the dip angle measuring?
But do you appreciate Chris's point? If you're going to use that as evidence, you're going to have to stick to the fact that obstruction bottom up of the sun is happening by a physical edge, right? That's your position? Because if it's not physical, then we don't know what the edge is.
Yes, there's a physical obstruction, but the refraction confuses the issue slightly. And I know it's difficult.
But hold on, I just want you to know this. But that's our point: is that if you don't claim that's physical, then that could be the edge of a really big ball, a very flat plane, a small ball. It becomes, we don't know because that position is non-physical, right? That's our whole issue with you guys constantly citing a physical edge when it's convenient, and then when it's not there.
But it's just
one second. Then when it's not there, it's like, okay, well, now we can deal with refraction, right? Now it's just a ray tracing issue.
But don't you understand that you can have something, a geometrical shape, and then you can have refraction added to that? It's very
completely
simple.
Completely understand.
Well,
One second. Let me finish my point.
Again,
no, you made a statement to me. We do have a geometric shape, yes, but the question is, how flat is that geometric shape? That's what we're here to discuss.
Right. Okay. So you're saying it's an issue of the quantifying it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just it's ambiguous. So if you're going to use that line of thinking when you walk me through that bottom-up thing on the sun, you are sticking to the fact that edge is geometric, or a type function of it, right?
Yes, it is a geometric edge. That's fine. Which is then, and I'm going to. Okay, so now go ahead.
Yeah, we're allowed to call you out on that, though.
Well, okay, I'll show you the diagram. Here we go. This is the diagram that seems to cause you, which just simply has the two components, the geometry and refraction. That's all this is, and it seems to be completely impossible for flat earthers to cope with two things at the same time.
Chill out, dude. We had more variables than you clowns. Don't say stuff like that. You guys are the ones who are collapsing.
You notice how I got him on the geometry versus refraction? He immediately went to pictures from space.
Well, yes. I was saying there are other independent means of measuring. So here we go. So I know you've seen this diagram before, but I'm going to have to show it to you again, obviously. So here we have...
all you're doing is giving us sound bites, so these videos go viral on our channels. Man, I got 60,000 views recently.
Well done. Sorry, keep going. So here we go. So here we've got the these red lines. So here we have an observer over here, this little eye. Here we have a ship on the geometric horizon, because that means there's a straight line to it. And then we have...
Stop. You gotta stop. There's no geometric horizon ever. It's always and only apparent.
Well... If you have
no atmosphere,
yeah,
right?
Assuming this is the no atmosphere case. So in the atmosphere case,
let's just believe him and let's just pretend he's right,
and
then we're all fine.
Can I just have another 20 seconds? Then I'll
all right,
stop.
Go for it.
Right. Yeah. So here we go. So here, if there was no atmosphere, it was a vacuum. This is how far this observer would see it. Hit the edge there. That would be the geometric horizon. But we don't live in a vacuum. The atmosphere is there, and that means that rays curve like these rays.
Rumpus, you're using you're making our point, because our whole point is that edge. 1 second.
Give me 10 more seconds, Marty.
Okay, go
10 more seconds, then you can come back at me. Right. So we have these are what the rays of light do in the atmosphere. They bend like this. This is exaggerated slightly, so it's not exactly correct. And so if you then draw this. The ray from the bottom of this lighthouse, it then follows the path of the curvy ray, and so you can see the observer can actually see the bottom of the lighthouse, and there it meets the thing at a tangent, which is the thing that apparently Nathan claims that in geometry you can't have curves that meet a tangent, and here you do. The light ray comes off here at a tangent, and then it bends, and so we have the apparent horizon here. There's the geometric horizon, and so we have two factors. So it is a physical obstruction. It is this point on Earth. The bottom of the lighthouse is the thing that's causing the light to be stopped, but it's combined with refraction to give you the curve. So geometry plus refraction gives you the apparent horizon. Finished.
Yeah, we like that. The only issue with bottom up is that it's not an absolute anymore. That bottom up is strictly the edge of the Earth, because of what you just said. That edge is only available if there's no atmosphere, which you agree is non-physical. It's always refraction, and so that's the main issue that I think Chris was trying to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Explanation was begging the question. His whole explanation was begging the question. He's proving he hasn't proven his point before the point. He's saying there's no atmosphere when there is, and he's saying if there wasn't an atmosphere, which we can never test, that there would be a geometric horizon. We need to
exactly. Yeah.
You already detect the geometric horizon before you can put it in your cartoon.
There's always a geometric horizon. We just can't see it.
Well, then why are we talking about it then? If we're talking about images, dude. Why would we talk? Yeah. You know what? There's a fly in the sky, but we can't see it. But let's make it the center of this discussion. Really, that's our whole point, Carlos.
But our point is here that this is the black swan invalidation. So here, for instance, QE, being the moron that he is,
no, we're talking about sunsets, man. Don't keep changing topics. We're talking about sunsets. Why do you want to talk about black swan now?
Well, I just thought we were dealing with refraction and horizons, and I'm just demonstrating Hold on, we were talking about horizons, and I was explaining how the apparent horizon is further, because Chris was asking me, is it the geometric or the apparent horizon? So I've given an explanation. Hold on, I've given an explanation of how apparent horizons and geometric horizons are together. Now, they can become quite close together. So, for instance, if the observer's very high up, these 2 points become very close to one another. And so when things like the sunset, you can then say, well, if you're nice and high, then the refraction is much less, and the geometric horizon and the apparent horizon are so close together that we can then establish a principle, and that is that the sun goes below the horizon, and therefore on a flat Earth we know is invalidated, because on a flat Earth, if the sun went below the horizon, then everywhere would go dark.
If you can't see the geometric horizon, how do you ever know if the geometric horizon is close to the apparent horizon?
Because we can measure the refraction. This curve that I've got here that I've drawn in red, we can actually measure with a theodolite and using something called a double what's it called? A double refraction test thingy with a theodolite. You can actually measure how curvy this light is, and therefore you can actually establish exactly what's going on.
But can't you have refraction on a flat plane?
Can you say again?
Can't you have refraction on a flat surface?
You can, yes.
So how do you know it's curved then?
Because we can measure what these curves are, and we can.
Wait, Rumpus, I got to ask you something. You came on here and ripped Gleem a new one for being, according to you, not tight in your language. You come on here, start citing a geometric horizon when it's actually a refracted one all the time, and we're getting on you to be more careful in your language. That's all we're asking. You know, you can say that that's a refracted horizon of the geometric, causing bottom-up obstruction of the sun. 1 second. And that's your position. That's fine. But you cannot say that that's a geometric horizon. You cannot, because you're just saying with an atmosphere that it's always refracted. You cannot say that.
If you listen to what I said about 2 minutes ago,
we understood it perfectly.
No, you didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to me. If the observer is high up, as in per the Alberuni experiment, then the refraction is less, and it becomes to the point where the apparent horizon and the geometric horizon become very close to one another.
What does that do with the sunsets that we were describing? We're not looking at a sunset.
Here we go. But on the sunset case, the point is that the whole sun disappears. The refraction we're talking about can only be responsible for moving the sun by fractions of a degree. The fact that the whole sun disappears is not possible due to refraction. And the fact that it goes completely under and then doesn't appear again for 12 hours, when we know it's going to appear around the other side, invalidates the flat Earth, because everywhere will go dark on a flat Earth.
Everything you just said for the last 3 minutes was last 30 seconds was not relevant to any.
Well, it was because I don't understand.
I already refuted that.
Mind of God, have you closed down your understanding of geometry when it comes to do with? If I describe it,
you can't use geometry on apparent geometry.
Well, if I were to describe this on a plate, I showed you a ping pong ball, and I had the ping pong ball go below the edge of the plate, I think you'd understand that. So that is the model you've got with your flat Earth. And so if the ping pong ball that you're looking at on a plate goes below the edge of the plate, and you imagine that's a little light, then all the light from the ping pong ball will be radiating to the bottom of the plate, and everything on the top of the plate would not be receiving any light. That one observation of the sunset invalidates the flat Earth. Full stop.
Can I show you something that you're not accounting for?
Okay.
Can I just share the screen?
Yeah, you can.
Go on, Chris.
Sorry, it's a quick question for Rumpus, and I have to go. Rumpus, let's say it's hypothetical. If I go outside, let's say I'm in a field and it's real foggy, and all I can see is say 50 feet of the ground where the fog meets the ground, and I can't see anything past that. Is where that position of the fog meeting the ground and my limit of vision? Is that the horizon? My horizon?
With fog, when you get an attenuation of that level, we don't consider horizons in that case.
But isn't the definition of horizon where the sky appears to meet?
You don't pick on conditions like that. You pick on conditions where you can see the horizon clearly.
He's using an extreme case to help you loosen your language to not make it so absurd.
No one uses blurry horizons in any calculation. They say, "I won't use this piece of evidence. I'll go and."
It's a basic question, Rump. It's a basic question. So the definition of horizon is where the sky appears to meet the land or sea.
If that's badly defined, you blurriness, you just don't have a meeting point. It's undefined. It's not. But it's too vague. You don't bother with those situations. You deal with situations where it's well defined.
I want to point out that Rumpus is obfuscating or he's purposely ignoring the question. Everyone knows.
If you look on the screen, you'll see an example.
Yeah, so you don't use that as an example. You don't use any measurements on that. You say it's all blurry.
But it looks like a crisp horizon there.
Well,
how did Alberoni know there wasn't fog?
You just wouldn't use that in any of the examples you were.
You wouldn't know if there was no ship there.
No.
You don't use examples like this to do any calculations on. If those are the conditions, you don't do them. You say, I'm going to come back tomorrow when I can see the horizon.
You don't know is the point.
How did Alberoni know if he was looking at crisp geometric horizon or haze, fog, and mist?
Because you can tell the difference between a blurry horizon and a sharp one.
Okay. So what does?
Simple.
All right. So what does? Okay. So Rumpus. Okay. So what does this do? What does this fog do? What does it do to the apparent horizon?
Well, it just means you don't have a well-defined horizon, so you just don't bother.
Well, it looks well-defined to me in this image.
Well, you could. I mean, obviously, perhaps as a distant thing, but I would be reluctant.
Perhaps as a distance thing. Well, absolutely, there would be a distance thing.
I would not use that for any calculations at all.
Why not?
Because there's a possibility it's too blurry. I want to see a nice sharp horizon.
But how do you know?
Calculations.
How do you know that what we're looking at when you look at the horizon and you haven't got an object in the background to relate it to, that you aren't seeing this?
Well, you pick on situations where it is clear cut.
Can you bring some up like that are clear cut?
That is the whole horizon.
Because you know, so let me tell you something. Because hang on, wait a minute. Because when we bring up as flat earthers, we bring up clear cut horizons, with beautiful imagery where you see from shore to shore. You guys tell us it's refracted.
Yes.
Right. So you've just told me and the audience that you only base this on what you can see as a clear horizon.
If I wanted to do, If I wanted to do calculations on it, I would be very reluctant to use this image. Yes.
Okay, so if I provided you with a separate image that showed you a beautiful shore-to-shore observation, and then asked you to calculate it.
Yes, I'd use that.
But then, if you were told that actually didn't match the globe Earth, then you would change that and then say, well, actually, it's refracted.
Yes, because I can show the examples you're thinking of your observations of the Barrow Furness. I have done some checks on the meteorological crash, and I certainly did this with the Isle of Man observation that Anthony did, where he was able to see shore to shore from being on the beach.
Don't distract from the image. Don't distract from the point.
I'm describing. I'm giving my answer.
Don't mention Anthony. We might get sued.
Yeah, don't distract from the point.
I'm not. I'm telling you about shore to shore that are better. You shouldn't be able to
just that. Not just
I'm answering your point exactly, Ranty. I'm talking about a situation where there is a shore-to-shore thing that you shouldn't be able to see with standard refraction. And then if you go and look at the meteorological data, what you will find is that the water is either very cold or the air is very warm. And then from that, you can say, aha. And if you also see that what you'll see something like in the Isle of Man case, you see that the compression of the mountains in the distance, and that exactly matches what we expect to see when you get conditions where K value, that's the curvature, is equal to about 1, as is demonstrated.
Well, thanks for your rant there, but essentially, I literally just asked you a question. I said, if we see shore to shore in an image, you would say that's a beautiful image, and we can use that to test the calculation. Until you're told that shore to shore observation is far further than you should see on a globe, and then you retract and you go back, and then you want to. Yes, that's exactly what you did.
No, you just didn't listen, did you? We know.
No, you didn't listen.
Let me answer. We know that refraction can cause amazing things, including being able to see effectively all the way around the world. In fact, if you could see far enough, it curves at the same curvature as the Earth, which means you can then see shore to shore in theory as far as the attenuation of light would go. So that would account for your Barrow and Furness example. Ranty.
I'm not talking about the Barrow and Furness one.
Well, any observation in which the black swan is another example.
Not talking about that either.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Will you let me finish a sentence? So in the black swan situation, there, in fact, the curvature is actually greater than the curvature. And hence, we actually it gives you the impression of a convex Earth, not a concave one. So we know the refraction can do this. So we know that refraction can vary. I don't understand why you think that's tremendous.
Because you only apply it when you know the calculations and the distance. You don't look at an observation and say, that's a great observation. You look at it and then you ask for the calculation and then you go back and you say, okay, let's make it fit the globe.
Because, Ranty, refraction does that.
No, that's what you do.
No, refraction.
Take refraction out of this. Refraction doesn't do that. That's what you do. You do that. You see a beautiful image. You see a beautiful. Just let me finish. This is my show. You're a guest here, and I'm okay. So
Rumpus, chill out, dude.
So you see a beautiful image. You see a beautiful shore-to-shore observation from, let's say, 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, doesn't really matter. You see a beautiful shore-to-shore observation, and you show that to anybody in the world, and they say, wow, that's really great footage. That, it's really nice. Look how clear it looks. Yeah? And then you agree with that, and you say, that's great. And then a flat earther turns around and says, well, actually, you shouldn't see that on the globe. And then what you do is you go back to the calculations, and then you start to say, well, okay, let's apply a bit more refraction and a bit more refraction, and now it matches the globe. So suddenly it's not a great shore-to-shore observation, just a beautiful image. Now it's a hologram lifted up from behind Earth curve.
Not a hologram. That's a stupid thing to... Don't pick up Nathan's idiocy.
But it is a hologram in your...
No, it's not a
Yes, it
right,
is.
So you don't understand what a hologram is then, do you? So refraction...
What is it?
Now,
Can you even demonstrate one time where something was lifted up from beyond Earth curve or behind any kind of curve? Really, show me one instance of that.
The Black Swan does it.
That isn't no. Just saying an image. I mean, I'm talking about doing an actual experiment to prove
Black
that.
Swan. Black Swan.
That isn't an experiment.
No, Rumpus, dude, in a time lapse, dude. In a time lapse,
is
we
not
need to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Ranty, there are time lapses on YouTube showing the refraction changing over time and lifting things up and down. The Black Swan image.
Does it lift it behind Earth curve? No, it changes the image. What you see.
Things that were not visible early on in the video become visible because of the increased because of looming. Yes.
Looming.
No, it has to bring it in front of the horizon. That's
it brings it up above the horizon. Things you can't see.
In front.
Above.
It has to move it in front.
Behind the, no, it doesn't. It doesn't things in front of the horizon. Things above the horizon. What are you talking about, you idiot?
Rumpus, you believe that those oil platforms are behind a geometric edge, right? And they're being brought forward in front of the apparent horizon.
The thing that defines what you see is the apparent horizon. And in the Black Swan case, because the curvature of the rays is even greater than the radius of the Earth, it actually makes the impression of a convex thing. In other words, things further away are actually lifted more. So the more distant oil platform has actually got its legs above where it meets the water, is actually above the thing in front of it, even though the observer is nearly at wave height. Yes, so that which would mean that this shouldn't be the case. The fact that the distant legs where they meet the water of the far habitat platform is lifted up more than the nearer platform gives the impression of a convex Earth. I'm going to do a proper video on this as part of my document.
Okay, now you're flustered. Just relax.
No, the only thing I'm flustered about is I've got it as a documented modelling in my document that I've still yet to do. So the point is, it gives the impression of a convex thing. So there's an example, and there are videos which show more being revealed of distant objects over the horizon. And we even have that video of the Australian who is looking out over a cliff from Sydney Harbour, and he can actually see the horizon going up and down due to refraction.
Okay, so here we go. Hang on, wait, hold on. So right, okay, so we know who you're talking about there, because Where's Wally goes after him all the time.
Yeah.
But if you've also seen like Heath Carmody, he did a time lapse that showed that same effect, but it was across a lake.
Yeah, but he did it in a program. He moved the things manually.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't move the camera. He literally didn't.
Done it in real life as well, Rumpus. You know nothing, mate.
He did a simulation in Unreal.
Not a simulation. This was a time lapse through his camera.
He takes the camera home and puts it in the model.
Okay, back to talking about another video. The point is.
Yeah, this is the same. Within the past, let me just within the past week, Heath Carmody has done exactly the same. That if you film things on different times, it will raise and lower.
Yes, that's called blooming. Yes.
But no, listen, no, because you have
you just agreed with
because
things loom due to refraction.
Let me finish.
And that's why when you get an observation,
let me finish.
When you say short to short, that's caused by refraction.
Let me finish. You have a baseline where you see shore to shore. Then you have all the. Just let me finish. Just let me finish. And then everything that you see in the time lapse afterwards is just a mix match of everything that's going on in the distance. You're still seeing all the objects are just being moved around and jumbled about, right? But you don't see anything new pop up. So you're not seeing anything lifted. Wait a minute. So you're not seeing anything lifted up. You're just seeing what you can actually see, but being changed.
Other videos, exactly that happens. In which
really? Okay, show me.
And then
show me. That's what I'm after. I'm after that. Show me a video right now.
What's his face? The time-lapse video done by who did the famous picture of Chicago and the what's it tower. He's got a time lapse from the 50 miles away, or was it 60 miles away? In what's it park.
Joshua Thank right, so show me a time lapse where something is lifted up beyond that horizon.
Right. Oh, dearie me. It's very simple.
No, it's not.
It is very simple.
No, it's not.
This is very simple. Okay, let me go. I've got to get it now.
Go ahead and get it.
I haven't got it. It's going to take me a bit of time to find it.
Rumpus, you can't believe this nonsense, dude. What?
Is that all you've got? You haven't got an argument. You just simply say
Sorry,
that.
I was thinking it. I shouldn't have said it. My fault.
I mean, that's the only argument you've got, mind of God. That's it. You ignore the sunset argument because you don't want to confront that issue about the fact that the sun goes below the horizon.
I've been trying to.
Okay, so Toady UK says Rumpus is losing it here, and he's on your side.
No, he's not on my side. He's a twat. It's the one person who's not on my side. It's Toady. He's a moron and a twat. I'm afraid.
And John.
No, Toadie's the worst. Toadie's one of the worst. He and Sean G are the two least good globe earthers. They're the two you do not want.
Well, hang on, wait a minute. You just had John Watson in before, and you just had a go at him as well.
I'm indifferent to John. So Toadie
is there anybody that you actually like on the globe earth?
Yeah, there are lots of them. Barney, Blue Marble, lots. Yeah, everybody but those two, really.
Anyone that disagrees with you.
No, Toadie's never said anything intelligent in his life in any hangout that I'm aware of. And Sean G says things are actually embarrassing to the globe side. I wish he'd shut up and never speak.
Rumpus,
I wish he'd go back to being a flat earther. He's just an absolute liability to our side.
Dude, you probably burned like 8 billion bridges in your life, dude. That's incredible.
No, I haven't. I just have high standards for people on my side.
Sure.
Can I show you?
You are the premier ray tracer. You said that out of your own mouth. Premier. Wow, that's incredible, dude.
Can I just show you some stuff?
What we've done, Philip and I, is absolutely top-notch stuff. It really is.
Top notch.
Using Maxwell's equations.
Not using Maxwell's equation, using Fermat's principle. That's what you do. And anybody who understands anything about refraction will know that that's what you use.
Anyway, Rumpus, quickly. While you're loading up your bits, if you look on the screen there is a standard sugar water density in a tank. Yep. He's shining a laser. It's hitting the floor exactly how you said that yours would work, basically, but that would be a curved surface.
Yep.
Now, please tell me, if that was a light ray at the bottom of that lighthouse on a flat surface, would it still go into the floor like that?
There is a flat surface, so yes, that's going to do what it's doing. It's got a flat surface there. There's a linear gradient, so yes, that's behaving as it would on a flat.
So that wouldn't reach the eye.
Well, the way this, it would, because if you had an observer, okay, this calls for another diagram. Let me show you.
Well, hang on, no, just don't let. No, just a minute. Right, listen, Rumpus. Just please let him do his presentation. Just say yes or no, and don't go into. If you don't know, you don't know. No, listen.
You want to remain ignorant. I know you want to remain ignorant.
So it's either yes.
No, you don't want me to answer.
It's three. There's three questions. Right, there's three answers here. Yes, no, or don't know.
I do know, but it's moderately more complicated because.
Right. Okay. So you do know. Right. So now let him finish his presentation. So you do.
No,
you do know.
He's asked the question. I'm trying to answer his question. He's
finished. But we don't want to. No, we don't, because he's not finished.
He has finished.
Gleem, can you now play the video a little bit, please?
Yeah.
Now play the video a little bit. So now you know.
Finished.
Right. Okay. So now you know. Now look at this.
So the further in altitude he gets with it, the less it bends. So on let's pretend that this is your whole lighthouse here, and the observer's on the other side of the glass.
Yeah.
The bottom rays won't get to him, but the top rays will, because they'll bend down to him, yeah?
Right.
And this is why would that not happen in your model? Well, you basically just said no, it wouldn't work like that. You couldn't block anything bottom up. It wouldn't work like that. But surely the reflecting sun rays coming down would go into the floor.
Okay, can I show you something? Have you finished?
Well, no, don't show me something. Just answer the question.
Yeah, I'm about to with a diagram.
No, just say. What's your response? You disagree with it?
Do you disagree with it? Floor, or would it reach the eye, or would it do both?
Do you disagree with it, or do you agree with it?
He knows this is devastating. He knows
not
this is
devastating
devastating.
at all. What you're not allowing for, Gleem, is the fact that's a laser with only firing one ray. If we have an object like I've got here,
oh my god,
with a lighthouse, let me go. So with a lighthouse, let me
dropped.
finish.
I think I didn't represent. Oh, I can click on your screen. Sorry, there we go.
Right.
You present and knock me off either way.
Sorry.
So Rumpus, a ray below that you think is going to flip in the other direction? Come on, dude. We're using one example. Of course.
You're too stupid to understand. I appreciate that. So here we go. Right, here we go. So this is what a real object does. It's not a laser.
Does it?
Mandela.
Is this what a real object does? Yeah, okay.
This guy went from Fermat's. This guy went from Fermat's point to point to now generalized rays.
So
like,
here we go.
What do you want?
So this light ray here that's going up will meet the observer that's over there. The higher angle light rays from an object will make it to the observer, but they will have a curvy path. And I have a diagram of that somewhere around here.
What equations governs that propagation?
Fermat's principle.
The collection of those rays.
Let me.
The Taylor series.
Did I? Damn it! I don't think I've. Yeah, that's the diagrams I've got to draw that I knew that people like. You see, this is the thing.
So you haven't got a diagram.
I have.
Rumpus, go back to Gleem's image. You don't believe rays below that are going to follow a different path, right? Like, why?
But don't you understand that the rays coming out higher up will meet the observer?
That's not his point, dude. That's not his point, genius.
Yes, it is his point.
That one.
Look, listen. His point was that no light from the laser.
No.
Yes, it was.
We were talking about that one.
No, listen. His point was that no light from the object on the thing that's acting like a laser would make it to the observer because it would hit the floor. But the point is light that was not going horizontal, that was going up, like one of these I've drawn here, would make it to the observer.
Why would it do that in that medium?
Okay.
Why would it do it in that medium?
What triggers hang on, wait a minute. What triggers the ray to move from the point of its object of its origin? What
rays go in all directions?
Yeah. What makes that ray move?
Ray move? What?
A density change.
Curve.
No. The ray itself. Right. Okay. So you're looking at an object. You're looking at an object, right? So let's supposing you're looking at the red one of the red parts on that actual that lighthouse, right? So you're looking at one part of that red part. So what makes the rays move?
Rays move? What do you mean by the rays move? I don't understand what you mean.
Well, you say there's like millions of rays leaving from 1 millimeter. So from 1 millimeter. So what makes
Ranty, he's too dumb. He doesn't even know what you're asking.
You're not asking a sensible question. You're dumb.
The medium does.
You've got to be intelligent enough to answer a sensible question.
You're too dumb. You're too dumb to even know what he's asking you.
No, he's too dumb to ask a sensible question.
He's trying to get you to say the medium governs the motion of the rays, dude. You clown.
But no, he's saying how they move. He's not talking about the curvature, you moron. He's talking about something else, I think.
Right. At what point is your fingernail firing off 6 billion rays?
What it's doing all the time? As I say,
my fingernail is.
It is whitewashing. It is whitewashing. It is definitely there is rays coming off in all directions.
Really?
100%. 100%. Definitely. I agree with him on that.
No, but the medium guides the rays, though. The medium matters what direction they're going to take.
Exactly. If you're considering a homogeneous gradient, so to say, so it's the same at the bottom all the way through, then light is going to seek the denser medium, so it's going to go into the ground.
Correct.
So, exactly.
Well said, Gleem.
So every ray from my finger.
That's our point, genius.
But you're ignoring all the other rays from an object. You're only considering the ray going out the horizontal and saying,
but they all have a desire to bend down.
Finish. You're saying if a ray is going from the horizontal, it'll dip down to the ground, which indeed it would. But the ray that the observer on the right-hand side, I haven't drawn one in here, would find the ray that's going up at, say, 45 degrees, would be bent down, but it would still make it to the observer. So you would still see the top of the lighthouse, even if some of the rays hit the ground that were coming at horizontally.
Okay, right, listen, let me ask my question in a different way. What powers the rays to leave the 6 billion rays that are leaving my fingernail right now, or 1/10 of a millimeter of my finger, the 10 billion rays that are leaving it, what powers them protons or whatever to photons, whatever, to go and go in all these different directions? What tells them to leave in that direction? And what tells the other fingernail and the other fingernail and the other fingernail to do all the same? I mean, does it come from? Oh, it comes from what? Sorry.
Right, it's either reflected or generated by the object concerned. And in this little calculation I've got on screen here, I actually
from light. Wait a minute, no, just finish. Right, so the sun or the light bulb shines light onto my fingernail, and my fingernail sends off 6 billion rays in all different directions.
No, can I describe it?
Come on.
First of all, I want to give you an idea of how many. Hold on, Ranty. I just want to give you an idea.
I don't think he understands what you're trying to say.
I am. I'm about to describe something you might find important. If you wanted, for instance, to know how many photons were coming out of a laser like this is the number. 2.72. This is a 10 milliwatt laser. There are 2.7 times 10 to the 16, or this big number, coming out per second from that laser. And although you're
all right per second. Right. So what's the speed of light?
It's not quite as many as that, but it's
divide that by the speed of light. Divide that by the speed of light. So that calculation per second. Divide
the number of photons
per second. Divide that by the speed of light.
Why? Well, that doesn't help you.
Yes, because then it will tell you how much. Yes, it will.
That's the number that are coming out. Photons.
No, it won't.
This is the number
of photons
that are coming out.
You're not listening, Rumpus.
Per second.
You're not listening. Divide that by the speed of light. And then you will see how many protons are leaving and photons are leaving and hitting the fingernail of somebody, and then that fingernail suddenly. Wait a minute.
This is the number.
Wait a minute.
This is the number
per second.
This is the number of photons
per second, not per light speed.
That's not a meaningless statement.
No, it's not.
This is the number of you don't know what you're talking about. You're a
because
moron.
my fingernail at light speed is sending off the same the other direction.
No,
you're not. You're not listening.
This is the
You're not listening. You're not listening. You're not listening.
You do not understand
you're not
you're saying. You don't understand.
Right, Rumpus. You know you're getting destroyed, and that's why you're just talking over me.
Wait. Can I take over? Because I'll try with Rumpus. Rumpus.
It made no sense.
Okay. 1 second. Can we go back to simplified experiment or test? You know that laser beam that Gleem brought up. I get your point. Your argument now is that there's all angles that are being experienced at that point. Okay, wait. No, let me finish. Let me finish.
Finally got there after 5 minutes.
I understood that the whole time. The angles below, you would agree, don't have a better chance of making it than the one that he showed, right? They're going to fail and go to the ground, right?
Yes.
The lower angles. Okay. The ones above. Now, your point is that there will always be those rays available to see things across a flat surface, right? Because those angles will always exist. Is that your point? Okay. But you do agree that those rays have a desire to be bent down towards the surface as well, just like the ones below it.
All the rays will be bent towards the surface. Particularly in that tank that we were looking at, there's a severe gradient there, and so all rays will be bent down. So the horizontal rays will hit, depending how bendy it is, but the bendingness he was showing, the horizontal rays then hit the floor.
So why can't you imagine a medium?
The one step at an angle will make it to the other side of the tank.
Not always. Why can't you imagine a medium that will not allow that? No. 1 second. Why can you not? You can imagine all these stupid mediums of bendy mediums over a curve. Why can't you imagine a medium that will not allow a group of rays at the bottom close to the surface to not make it to the observer?
Incredibly. They'd have to have a index.
Can I show you it?
Index refraction greater than we would be able to generate.
Rumpus, you're going to get baptized in the FE pool tonight. Let's see it. Let's go, Gleem.
Okay, you see this is the exact same video, just later on in it. It's 1 minute later or something, a couple of minutes later. He's got a ball bearing in there. Yeah. There it is, perfectly circular when looking down on it, obviously with no gradient effect in it, so to say. But as he moves down, if you see it's slightly becoming egg-shaped on the bottom.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have these gradients. Yeah.
And then it's becoming squashed, similar to how the sun...
And this is exactly what happened to Isle of Man observation that Anthony did.
Yeah, and then it squashes up to a nothingness.
You can still see it, even though it's above. Yeah.
even though you're below the thing.
But if you were to make that go down and down and down, eventually it would disappear. If you were to dig a little hole underneath that ball bearing and make it go down, eventually you wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah, and same with distance. If that went further away,
the sun doesn't change size. It doesn't get any further away from us. It's always the same size. And the sun doesn't undergo this sort of, except in very exceptional circumstances. Most times the sun goes down, it changes in shape very little.
yeah, if you can see it, see it there.
This is a very severe density gradient that doesn't exist normally on the Earth. Very occasionally in the Isle of Man or some of Ranty's observations of the Barren Furness when he gets shore to shore sometimes, then you can get this sort of refraction over. Remember, this is over a very short distance, but
yeah, it's a basic principle of proof, though. You don't do anything in the lab, do you? You know what I mean? Or you do stuff in the lab before you go out and test it in the big.
Rumpus, you just verbally prove bottom-up obstruction because you know that the top has a better flux of rays leaving it because of the fact that there's no ground there. So you've just proven that the height gives a preference for being visible.
Understand? You barely understood the angle of rays could make it.
I understood that from the beginning.
Here. This is entirely in agreement with everything I've said, Gleem, what you're showing here.
Either way, this explains soundly's both of his pictures, obviously with the telephoto compression, but this is curvature where there is no curvature. On the outside of the tank, it's perfectly square. And if you can see the compression of the tiles in the background as well, he actually makes a point of it and saying that the tiles all compress up into half the size that they actually are.
But there is no compression in Soundly's video.
There is.
No, the aspect ratio things are preserved. It's not undergoing extreme refraction. There are not the extreme refraction conditions you're describing here that are being shown here in Soundly's video.
Yes, there is. His whole hills
wait a minute. Are you denying refraction then?
He's not got the extreme
refraction. Are you denying refraction?
He has.
No, because standard refraction doesn't cause compression.
You're a science denier.
He's literally just he's a science
standard refraction doesn't cause compression. Gleem here is trying to claim that there's compression here which causes it, and there's no compression.
Okay, so you've seen Red Pill Philosophy and you've seen his windows where they get compressed.
Yes, that is due to the similar effect that we're looking at in Gleem's video.
Right, okay. So wait a minute. So that's with refraction, but you're saying Soundly never gets refraction.
There's always refraction. Let's bear in mind, there's always refraction, whether it's standard refraction or whatever.
Okay, so look at this bridge. Look at this bridge, Rumpus. Do you see that bridge? Do you see the steepness on that bridge? Do you think that's the real visual experience that you would expect to see from that bridge and be on that? If you were driving a car and you knew that you would have to cross that bridge, would you go on that car and go across that bridge knowing that was what you were actually seeing?
Absolutely. This is just perspective. Don't you understand? This is just perspective.
Right, and now look at the distance. Perspective, mate. With a little bit of refraction, a little bit of downward refraction, and perspective gives you that curve at the end. A little bit of perspective.
Refraction
and a little bit of refraction,
not the opposite. You're trying to claim a sinking refraction gone. There is not.
It's standard refraction. No, you're missing the point, Rumpus. You can see it right here.
Look at the whole scene.
Look at the whole scene.
This is perfectly in sync with the globe Earth with normal refraction.
Gleem, this is yours. Sorry, I've hijacked your point here.
No, you're exactly right. Look at it. It's bobbing up and down.
This is in agreement with the globe Earth and standard refraction.
Rumpus, you can't believe that's Earth curve, man. You're smarter than that. That's absurd.
It is. This is what happens when you zoom in. I mean, this thing at the distance is something like 20 miles away.
Right, so we live in a basketball then. Live in a basketball, do we?
This is exactly what we expect. If you do the modelling in 3D, you put in the calculations for the Earth, you model it on the Earth as a
I tell you what,
force it and reverse
it. I tell you what, listen, I tell you what, hold on.
This entirely
No, it doesn't.
Hold on.
It does entirely.
Hold on.
It does entirely.
Listen,
absolutely 100%.
Shut up. From that part where it starts to curve at the edge of the bridge, right? It would double back on itself within 20 miles? Be back round again.
No, not at all.
Yes, it would.
Wouldn't. You're just gibbering. It's a gibbering idiot.
Do you want to measure it?
Fibonacci sequence.
Walter has done a model of this. I've done.
I don't care whether one of your blog friends has modelled it. I'm talking about the last bit where it curves over.
Rumpus, if the Earth was curved like that, I could hit it drive 8,000 yards on a golf course. Look, it just roll down the hill.
I've got a diagram here.
You shouldn't even bend 1 degree.
We've got an image on. We've got a real image on screen. Why do we need your diagram?
Show you.
We've got a real image on screen. Why do we need your diagram?
It agrees, and I'm going to show you how well it agrees with my modelling of what you'd expect to see on a Earth with something disappearing into the distance, showing you what curvature you'd expect. I can't remember what the distance I covered here. I can't remember if this is the same as the Soundly. Oh, here we go. Right, this is what you'd expect to see. This is 69 miles. This is what you'd expect to see across 69 miles. How
big is the Earth in your model?
What's the diameter?
Don't understand.
What's the diameter of your Earth?
I'm showing you how much.
What's the diameter of your Earth? Rumpus, what's the diameter of Earth?
6,000 diameter. Well, that's twice the rate. The radius is 6,371 kilometers.
What's the diameter of the Earth?
7918. 7918.
Twice that, you idiot. Why do I have to suddenly know?
So why are you showing us something that's 69 miles?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
telling us a curve.
Curvature. I'm showing you how much
flat.
Yes, wait for it. Wait for the punchline. This is how much curvature you'd expect to see. This is what you'd expect to see if you could see 69 miles. Let me finish. In the Pontchartrain thing, you can only see something like 20. So that's why you can only see up to this point here. This is what you'd see if you could see 69 miles. And obviously, you can't see the
That's
stuff.
Wrong. That's wrong then.
Correct.
That's 2/3. So you can see 50 odd miles. Because you can see up to just there, 2/3 of it.
Why are you saying that's 69 miles, Rumpus? What are you talking about?
Because this is 1 degree. This represents 1 degree, and this is what an observer. And I can't remember what height I've put in here. I think you'll just. This is in fact for the Pontchartrain. I can't remember what height I put because I've finished. Unfortunately, this is one of the things I've got to finish. This is I think this is the observer height that was for Soundly, in fact. And so this is for what you would see over 69 miles. And of course, because it's not 69 miles long, and obviously you get the obstruction of the Earth. But if you could see through there, if the Earth was transparent, and these blocks you can see here were...
Yes, we get the point, Rumpus. But right, this is like 100 times. This is 100 times less.
Wait there, Rumpus. The apex would be half of 70, so it would be 35 miles.
No, the curvature is more than is not just halfway. The curvature, it's more, as you can see here, it curves more and more and more the further away it gets. It's not.
It kicks in down the road. That's nonsense.
It's a squared relationship, you twat. Don't you understand? It's not linear. Jesus Christ.
What's not linear? You're just using
the shape of this curve. This is a parabola, and so the shape here is a parabola. And
is the curve hold on? What? Is the curve exaggerated? Wait a minute. Is the curve exaggerated because you've actually put things getting smaller with distance?
It includes every effect, perspective, and everything. This
diagram. Okay. So why have you done things so far down?
Because I'm covering 69 miles and not 20. I've decided to do what it would look like if the Earth was transparent and you could see 69 miles.
Are you looking at here? This is ridiculous.
What the hell is that?
It's very. I've said again. This is what elephant. I'll say it again. If the Earth was transparent, in other words, this represents the bases of those the
new
towers.
Minecraft would come into it.
This is what you would see if the Earth was transparent. So if it was all water, and so you could see through the water, you would see this. But of course, the water isn't transparent completely. And also the bridge only lasts 20 odd miles. So it only goes this far.
24.
This is what you would see if the Earth was transparent and the bridge was 69 miles long. This is what you'd see from Soundly's position. You can see it rise up because you're.
Is that with refraction?
No, it's not actually.
What happens if you put refraction in?
I'll tell you what. I'll add that to my. It'll change it.
Hang on, wait a minute. Didn't you see refraction happens all the time?
Oh,
it does.
Man.
Refraction happens all the time, according to you.
It does all the time. Yeah.
So it should be far greater than that, yeah?
Not far greater. No, there'll be a 10% difference.
So not far.
We do.
There'll
We
be
a 10% difference, but I haven't included that in this diagram. Yeah, I will do. Don't worry.
Okay. And what about non-standard refraction, where it gets worse for you guys?
Well, obviously, if you've got something like the black swan environment where the rays curve over the same as the Earth, then this will become completely straight. There wouldn't be any curve at all. They would all be in a straight line, and it wouldn't curve in the slightest.
So this is just drop. So you've angled this just on drop.
That looks insane, dude. Ranty, that looks crazy, dude.
I know.
Sorry, keep going. What the?
So this is just drop. This is just drop, yeah?
Well, yeah, if you want to, yeah, because I've put it on there, okay, because it's on the surface. Yes, but you're at the observer. No, it's not just drop.
Just drop.
Hold on. Drop is when the observer is down at ground level. Here, with the observer slightly above the first one, and that's why it rises up.
It's
initially,
still modelled on drop.
Down. Sorry?
It's still modelled on drop.
Well, no, it's just modelled on curvature. There's no modelled on drop. That's not.
You have drop, and then you have with refraction.
There is drop here.
That was just drop.
What else do you think? It's not.
Do you think that looks like that? Are you kidding me?
Yes, can I just compare the two? Yeah.
I'll say it again, you moron. This does 69 miles. The bridge is only 20 odd. You utter moron. Listen to what I'm saying, you twat.
You're not at the right angle, though.
Jeez. How many more times do I have to say it?
You're not at the right angle. Look at it.
69.
Oh my god. And this also includes the first one. This one on Soundly is further along than I've done here. I've done this from the first point. He's actually started his image because he zoomed into the latter part of it. He started further along this step than I've
There's
done.
no way Earth curve can be visible on a span of 24 miles. It's essentially flat. That's nonsense. There's no reason to even use that as a sample because looking this way, it would look essentially like a flat plane.
No, it wouldn't. The geometry says no. You don't understand the geometry.
What's unique then? What's happening then that it can pick that kind of thing up? That's crazy.
It's apparent.
How can it?
It's just a case of if you zoom to something. I mean, I can't remember where this first bridge is that we're looking at in the central screen. Is that what distance is that from this edge? Is that 10 miles or something?
Yeah, I think it was about 12 miles for this, and then the middle one was about 16, and then the end one's.
Rumpus, you're telling me we put somebody.
18
let listen to what Gleem's saying. So the middle one was about 12, you say, and how long's the bridge in total? I've forgotten. Is it 20 odd?
23.
23. Okay, that's right. Okay. So the middle. So with this one here is 10. So we're not quite halfway with this first one. But so this image that Sound has got here, this video, does not include the bridge to the start. Whereas I've included the bridge from the point of the observer to the thing. So his section is actually from about a third the way in to 2/3 the way in on my image. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, well done. My God, Ranty, you did actually.
But Rumpus, so here's the test. If we were perpendicular to that, you think that there's a building on one end of that and on the other, that we would noticeably be able to see a tilt between one on the left and the right on the very.
Do you know how much tilt would be? Do you know how much tilt would be?
Well, looking at this angle, where does that tilt disappear?
Tell me how much tilt will there be on? Let's do soundless first.
No, that's a good question. It's going to be exactly what I see here. That's going to be my answer. What I see that's obvious here. That's the amount of tilt, right?
How many degrees tilt back do you think is going to be on those on the tower?
I'm going to answer it with what I see here.
Yeah, and what is that?
It's what it is here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's 1/3 of 1 degree, and you would not be able to see that visually if I showed you something.
Why can we see it here? That's the question. Sorry,
you can't see any leaning back here, you twat.
I can. It's very obvious.
No, you can't see any leaning back. There is no leaning back that you can see in this photograph.
I can see if you draw a normal vector. If you draw a normal vector to the furthest point and the closest one, they're not parallel.
Yeah, they're different by 1/3 of 1 degree, which you wouldn't be able to see visually, you twat.
But why is it so pronounced here? And
it's
then it
not
wouldn't
pronounced. There's no leaning in this image. On the left, this image of sound there is no leaning.
Okay, we touched a nerve here. Let's take a break for a second. Okay. Relax. We're getting too close to the truth. He's going to start making fun of us.
Yeah, that's the only argument you've got, isn't it, mind of God?
To be honest, Rumpus, if you listen back to this, you'll realise how wrecked you've just been.
No, Ranty, if you had a brain, you would realise how wrecked you've been, but you haven't got a brain, so you're not qualified to have an opinion on this subject.
Can I just make a humble opinion and just say that you come in here basically saying I know nothing about science, I'm an idiot, and you've agreed with me 3 times, and by the way, I drew that box, Ranty didn't.
All right.
So you're bigging me up there. So
you're capable of remembering 3 numbers for the distance on a bridge. Okay, well done. That gives you the intellectual level of a 12-year-old. Well done.
Well, you had the E and B. Come on, and you're just playing it down because you're in panic corner. But there is just one thing that I wanted to show you. This is a camera on a train track.
Yes.
See the light of the train?
We've no idea how wiggly this track is for a start.
Yeah, we've no idea how wiggly the Earth or the sea is.
What about Fermat's principle? What about wait a minute? What about What about Fermat's principle? Is that not wiggly?
It's not even there. It's disappeared. How can a light disappear over something just with perspective?
Because it's curved. There's an obstruction. The rail is
Yeah,
up
it's
here.
curved. Yeah, of course.
The rail
Of
is
course,
sticking
they
up, isn't
build
it?
these train
It's
tracks
obscuring
curved.
Can you see this rail? Can you see this rail is obscuring the light, the lower light there?
Oh, damn! Of course, they build them curved. I get that now. All curved.
If you think this is in any way a thing, you're a nutter.
It shows you something that you just said. Oh, you can't block something on a flat surface.
Yeah, right. No,
So you have to automatically go to it's curved
Do you
or
remember
firmat.
Gleem, the thing that I shout about when people don't remember is I then qualify to then shout out a maximum decibels if the observer's above the bloody thing that's causing the obstruction. So you've got to remember, if the observer is higher than the thing that's causing the obstruction, it can't do it. But if the observer's below, as in this case, it can. You utter moron.
Can I just
One
lower
more
your
utter.
decibels? No, wait there. No, I don't want him to utter anymore. I just want him to lower his decibels because I've modelled it right here. What you on about?
Yeah,
I presented it on the show the other day.
Below.
Sorry.
the height
Hang on, wait a
of-
minute. Wait a
No,
minute.
wait there, hang on.
Don't go into repeat
Hold
mode.
on.
Hold on.
Goddamn
If you look
moron.
here,
Let Gleem speak, dude. Hold on.
110. The
Let's
observer
get the
height
observer
is.
above the height of
Yep.
that object, Gleem.
You shut
Get
up,
the
wait there.
observer above the height of the
No,
object.
why am I getting it above? It's above
Because that's-
already.
Hold on,
That's the
calm
thing I
down.
qualified.
Calm down. Calm down.
110. The green cube is 100.
What's the observer height?
110. So main camera,
And what's the
110.
height of the red block?
Red is 200.
Well,
And that actual sun there,
You're
that
playing-
actual sun there, right, wait there. No,
Hold
that
on.
actual sun there is
Let's go
48
again.
miles, 4,000 miles
again.
away.
You're claiming the observer's at 110, did you say?
Look, main camera, 110.
Right, and then you're saying that the green box has a height of...
Look, I'll show you. Here we go. Let's go 100.
Because if what you're saying is true, the red box would appear above. Because you're saying that you're above the top of the green box, and the green box is higher. In which case, the green box cannot have a height of 200 or whatever it was you said, which is higher than the green box.
This is the point here.
So you've now moved it up.
Yeah.
Right. So you say it wasn't at 200 as you said.
No, it's at 200. It's at 200.
Now it is. Yes.
No, it's 200 now. It's always been 200. It's the actual y-axis.
You just moved it.
I've just moved the y-axis from 75 to 100. Look, 75, 100.
What? Yeah, that's the XY. We don't care about that. We're interested in the height, you idiot. You've been giving me your XY coordinates.
The height stayed the same, moron.
It's
always been 200. I just showed you a 200.
Tell
It
me
was
what
200.
the vertical dimension of the green box and the red boxes are.
I'm showing you right now. Let me put it back on the horizon.
Position. That does not say
Yeah,
size.
I'm putting it back on the horizon. You see there was a gap there below.
We're interested in the size of those things. We're not interested in the
200.
position.
200 for the red
That's a
box
scale.
behind.
That's got nothing to do with the top
Look,
of where the box is.
500. Does that not double the size? Come on. Are you floating in some imaginary world? I'm inflating this.
Hold on.
10,000. Is that not a scale upwards? No.
Putting it around. It's scaling around.
Yeah. It's doing exactly what I'm telling it
Why
to
did
do.
why
Stop
do you
being a
put why
spaz.
the Y? You said
Look, here's the Z one. Let's put that at 10,000. And it goes down. Put this at 10,000.
I don't want to play with the X and Y. Stop fiddling with the X and Y.
Well, I put them all at 200. And you started going, no. Stop.
Well, I know visually you've got something wrong here for what you're claiming. You claim.
Let me bring this right
So let's go through the top of the. We're interested in the top of the box, and you said the top of the red box was at 200.
200.
And you said that the green box was at 100. And you said the observer was at 110. And you showed me a picture that cannot possibly have happened if those figures are correct.
Okay, so you've got 200 as the height. You just see me change the height, yeah, Rumpus? Are we okay that this Y scale...
You keep on fiddling with the Y.
No, I was just showing you that is the Y scale.
Why is the Y changing the height?
Look, Y scale, 200.
Well,
we are on the red cube.
Why is it changing the Y
Wait there.
the height?
Hang on.
Why
Red
is changing the Y changing the height?
No, I don't want to change the height. It was just that
So
you didn't
why
believe me.
So the Z, hold on, so is the Y, right, so the, okay, sorry, the
Oh,
Y.
mate, Calm down. Just let me go through it so you get patient and you just breathe. Okay, red cube, which is the back one. It's at 200. Why? There. We go green cube. Is at 100.
Yeah, but I don't understand what scale means. I want to know the coordinate of the top. I want to know the coordinate of the top.
Oh, mate, will you just shut up? The green cube is at 100. The main camera observer is at 110.
He says scale. I don't understand. Well, this cannot. And you put the red. Okay, set the red box and the green box to have the
Okay. Let's start again, right? So you're saying that the camera height in your program here is set to 110, yes?
Yeah.
And the green box's height is set to 100, yeah?
Yeah.
And the red box is set to 200.
Yes.
Let's make them all the same.
Okay, so hang on, wait a minute. So in your program, from an elevated height above the green box, the red box appears lower than the green box, even though it's twice the height.
Yes.
Okay, Rumpus. That was pretty clear to understand.
No, he's got it wrong. Right, so here we go. Is this on a flat surface?
It's on a plane. Yes. Look.
Right. So can we please put in the Y height of the top of the box? In fact, all of them. The observer, the green box, and the red box, all at 100, please.
Yes. Sure. I don't know whether you'll see it because of.
Why are you changing the position?
Sorry.
Let's put that.
Wait there, because you have to. Rumpus, have you done 3D modeling, mate?
Zero.
You just said that you've done this. Do you want to take over? Do you want to take over, mate?
You've got the thing 70.
You want to take over? Shall I just stop?
Yeah. Do what I say. Set the position of Y position as 0 for all of them. The Y, not the scale, the position. So keep it 100. Set this scale.
No, the position has to be half, Rumpus. This is what you don't know and you don't understand. The Y position there is in the middle.
He's right, Rumpus. He is.
Do you define
the No, Rumpus. He's right. You need to listen to what he's saying. I'm saying this so that you don't make an arse of yourself. Well, if you want to make an arse of yourself, fair enough.
Right, Ranty, you don't need to worry. You do that all. You worry about yourself.
Watch this. Watch the green one. If I put that at 0, it goes into the ground.
Right.
Yeah. If I put it at 100, it floats above the ground.
Okay, so let's make them all the Y. Hold on, let's make all the Y coordinates 50, and the scale, which what is this scale doing?
God, you are so funny, mate. You don't understand. Go on. Yep. So that you see that's 50. The green cube's 50, and I'll put the main camera at 50 instead of 55.
Yeah, put all the Y coordinates, the Y position for all things, for the green
50
and the red box
red cube
and the observer
50.
all at 50. How about that?
Green cube 50. Red
Gleem, sorry, just a quick point for the audience. Can you tell us what the take-home message is? Like, what are you trying to show us?
The take-home message is something that I've always asked Dean to do, which is 3D plane clipping, where you can only see a certain amount of the floor. And we always say this, I've heard this so many times, and it's you can only resolve a certain amount of the floor. Okay? And then
let him finish, man. Chill out.
It reaches to a point where it becomes your false horizon.
Okay. Got it. So bottom up on a flat
That
plane,
is what I'm representing.
So,
and then the reason why I'm managing to do this, Rumpus, and defy geometry.
You've got it wrong. You don't understand what you're doing, clearly. Right, so tell me, if you understand this program, then tell me what that scale does, that scale parameter.
It scales it, mate.
Scales what?
The object.
So what's the size of the object in this? Where's that defined?
I've just shown you.
No, you haven't. You've just said the scale is a scale operation.
Do you understand what an X, Y, and Z is, mate?
I do indeed.
I've just shown the X scale, and I've just shown you the Z scale going wider.
What scale means? Do you understand that's a transform you apply? That's something you multiply by. It's not an absolute position.
Mate, it's a block amount. You can use that as units.
Show me where the
that would
vertical
be a meter,
top of the vertical
110 meters cubed.
You don't understand this program, do you? You've no idea what you're doing. This is the problem. You do not understand what you're doing.
How did I do it then? How did I do it?
Because you just put in some gibberish and you've got some gibberish out. You don't even understand what your own. You do not even understand what those boxes in the transform thing are doing, do you?
Yes,
it's quite obvious.
I understand it thoroughly.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Because you just said the scale.
Right, listen to me. listen to me.
mate.
Hold on,
You show me
hold
what
on,
you 3D
hold
modeled,
on,
mate.
hold on, guys. Listen. Sean Hawkins wants to see a side-on representation of the image that you're presenting here, if that's possible.
Why? Ask him why. Sean, you're just a clown.
It's
Why does
long
he wanna see
distance. It's such a long distance. You won't even see it.
Yep, I'm
Don't
just
we?
saying that's what he's demanding. So I just thought I would put that out there to see whether you can do that.
I think if he super chats Ranty, at least $5, then Gleem
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah, I
So-
think if your super chat's $5, then
At
you should
least $5.
definitely do it. Definitely do
Okay.
it.
Good.
And WS is in the chat. He wants to come in, but he's afraid that we'll own him, so he doesn't want to
WS,
join.
bring him in, man. He keeps complaining that I delete comments on my channel. Just come, talk to him. Show him you're
WS
human.
cracks me up.
Well, I've got to go to bed anyway, so he can come in and take over from me.
Rumpus, you should have went to bed 90 minutes ago.
I should have done, yeah.
Good
I mean,
riddance.
this just does my brain in having to deal with idiots.
You think you amplified
You're
the
the
body
idiot.
of baller science today with this? Really?
Well, to anybody who's got any sense and understands geometry, they will understand everything I said was correct, and they will have said yes. Or anybody who's on the fence would have said yes. I've understood it, and you've not made any geometrical arguments at all. Gleem just spouted rubbish, and they would think yes, these guys are idiots, and therefore I'll go with Rumpus. Obviously, someone who's got a religious belief like you have, where you even if all the evidence contradicts your position, you're just going to go with what's written in the Bible, no matter what the contradictions of your life experience or science or reality is. You're going to say there's something false about them. You'll go with your religious delusion. So obviously, we're not going to make any progress with you personally, even though you seem to have switched off any sort of understanding of geometry you've ever had. I mean, you didn't understand a year ago that when things get further away, they have to get smaller. This is the level I'm having to work.
Do you want to breathe?
From the scratch, unfortunately, and it's quite an effort.
Would you like to breathe?
All right, dude. Rumpus, please, dude. He's. Are you trying to summon a Ball Earth demon to enter me, or like, don't worry, dude. We're good, bro.
Well,
Man.
if you've got, I'm appealing to this
Oh,
small
hold
area
on.
of your brain that actually is
Sean
logical,
Hawkins
and seeing if
is
I
there.
can
Sean
encourage it and
Hawkins.
nurture it a bit.
Hold on. Sean Hawkins has give a $5 super chat and said orthographic side view.
There
please.
you go.
Boom.
There you go.
Wow. Okay, I didn't expect that. So
10% goes to Gleem, 90% to Rumpus. Done.
I will actually give them that if they want that.
Cool. Roxanne gets absolutely nothing. Get away from us. This
All
is not
the
for
super
you.
chats that have been given in the show tonight are coming to me, and I'll decide what I do.
Gleem gets pounded, and then later Rumpus starts quoting everything that he brings up. Like, that's the summary of what happened tonight. Like, this is absurd, dude.
Right, can we do a side-on view, though? Can we do a side-on view?
It'd be interesting to know why he wants that, what information he's going to gather from that.
Well, we know what's going to happen because I can already see it in my head.
If it's a perfectly flat surface, then the same effect will happen in either direction. It's the same thing.
If you're at
right? It's still the
110
flat
with a
surface.
100 meter, blah, 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 blah. Well, then you've got to scale it. Yeah, I can already see in my head what's going to happen. But we'll see.
Okay. Rumpus doesn't know XYZ, right? That's what he said.
I'm more than familiar. Gleem, I bet you couldn't do a 3D transform to save his life. He's no idea.
Rumpus, what's zero raised to the zero?
1.
No, dude, you're a moron, dude. Go to bed.
You don't know what 0 to the power of... Did you say 0 to the power of 0?
Yeah, it depends which zero gets to zero fastest. You'd have
No,
to
it's
do a
one.
rate. It's in the
It's one.
limit. No,
It's one.
If the
It's
zero
one.
at 1 second, if the zero on the base gets to zero first, it makes a difference. If the
No,
zero,
it's
if
one.
the exponent gets to
The
zero
limit,
first,
no,
then it is
as a
one.
mathematical thing, it's 1.
No, it's not. It's undefined.
Yes, it is.
It's
No, it's not.
undefined.
It's 1. That's defined as 1.
You should go talk to Barney. He answered it correctly.
You
go to bed, dude. It's late, man. You're good. We're good here.
I'll go and Google it, and we'll find out that I'm correct. As
It's
usual.
undefined, dude. You should know that. That's basic, dude. If it was a fraction, then you'd have to use L'Hopital's rule. This is like high school, like calculus.
There we are. The most common possibilities are 1.
It's undefined, dude.
No, it's 1.
The most common possibility? What kind of answer is that to a mathematical question?
I
didn't ask you a probability.
I know you can make a sort of case for saying it's undefined, but
It is.
in maths,
it is mathematically
it's
undefined.
No, they use 1 all the time. It's used as 1 in all sorts of math.
No, it depends which zero got to zero first. It's a limit question.
Yeah, exactly. It's a limit question, and the limit.
Right. How do you know which 0 got to 0 first? Unless you do a limit.
If you do them both together, then you end up with 1.
No, it's undefined when you do them together.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
If the base gets to 0 first, then
agree.
it's 0.
It's not completely sorted, but basically it's 1.
If the 0 in the base gets to 0 first, it's actually 0.
Well,
it's 0. If the 0 exponent gets to 0 first, then it's 1.
Well, if you do the limit, you don't have this. There's no chase on. There's no 1 getting to 1 first.
That's why it's undefined. You have to know which 0 gets to 0 first.
No, you just.
I'm just doing this because you roasted Gleem for no reason, so I'm making you.
No, it's 1. I know it's not an absolute case, but if you. Mathematicians will use that as 1.
No, they won't. Mathematicians
Yes, they will.
will talk about the language that I just mentioned about limits, dude.
And they'll say that gives you 1.
No, they won't. They'll evaluate the limit and decide which one gets to 0 first. They'll replace it with variables. If the base gets it, let's say to the power 2, and let's say the exponent gets to the power 3, then the exponent wins. And then it would be 1.
Here we go.
Which gets to 0 fastest.
Here's an example I just came up with. The brilliant website says it's 1.
Wikipedia. Barney answered it correctly. I have him on a Hangout answering it correctly.
I'll tell you what.
Go talk to Barney.
I've got Mathematica here.
Who?
Go talk to Barney.
I've got Mathematica here, and I'll ask that what it thinks it is.
How do you not know this? Why are you looking up this on a website?
Mathematica is the premier mathematical program in
now
the
you're
world.
trolling, dude. Now you're just trolling.
Hang on, wait a minute. Didn't you say you were the premier globe earther in the world?
Yeah,
no, I didn't say that. No, I said about refraction.
Okay, so not calculus. Good. That's good. Good. We clarified that.
I must admit, Mathematica actually didn't like that very much.
It's undefined. You're right. Dude, don't worry. High school, man. I was just messing with you because you gave Gleem a hard time, and then you cited all of the stuff that he brought up later, which is ridiculous.
So were you wrong there?
But anyway, just quickly for Sean Hawkins.
Sorry, my bad. Go for it.
For Sean Hawkins, obviously from the camera to that back sun, that's sort of like 4,000 miles. So that is it in an orthographic view. But what I'll do is I'll zoom in on every single object because obviously these are tiny things. These are 110 meters, and it's it's 110 meters, and the blocks are tiny in comparison. That plane, that was your limit that I was on about.
Hey, Gleem, do you have any tabs open?
Only for this. I prepared for this.
Hundreds of tabs. Dude.
I'm asking because Rumpus, whenever he does this, it always freezes.
This is my papers backup. So all
the fact you brought that up and you clearly didn't remember what I'd said about what determines whether on a flat plane whether you can see something, about how much is obscured, and I specifically must have told you about 20 times that if the observer's above the object, it cannot obscure anything higher.
Yeah, you've said that, but I've modelled it the other way.
Yeah, you haven't modelled it. You don't even know what scale.
Well, at least let him show you the model first before you make
He can't even put it. He can't even enter in. He cannot. We cannot.
I've just done exactly what you told me to do and put it all at 50, and it done the same thing, mate. You got debunked.
Because you don't. If you did what I asked, all the tops would be in line. The observer, the green, and the red box would all be in line. The fact you couldn't do that means you don't know how to use the program, and you haven't presented us with the correct model.
Okay, Gleem, you're doing this presentation. Let's see what you've got to say, because then it will be on your own head. You know, everything that you put here today will be your presentation. You know, and it's something that you're going to stand by. I would say so. You're going to stand by it, and if you change your mind in the future, you so do. Yeah. You know, but right now.
Yeah, I've already literally, when I showed it the other day, I already literally said to you that the whole point of it is this red cube is not at its halfway. This is its halfway because of this plane clipping effect. However, it floats above the horizon. No, you didn't figure this out.
No, you're talking gibberish.
I'm not.
Try putting in.
Okay, hang on, wait a minute. So let him finish his presentation.
No, you don't understand what that scale box does.
Rumpus.
You've no idea.
You don't know how to. Guys, listen, Rumpus. Firstly, you don't know how to allow somebody to. If in your case, if you're correct here, dig their own grave, right? You don't know how to do that. So what you need to do is let Gleem make his presentation so that it's on record. So that it's wait a minute, so that it's on record. It's what I do with the Globers. I bring them in and allow them to do the presentation so it's on record. You know, I'm not here to try and influence people. Gleem's got a presentation ready to show. Gleem, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you do this plane clipping effect, where you have a limited distance of the floor, you can put an object multiple distance away, 3 times the distance away, and it will float in midair as if there was mist on the horizon, let's say, or the floating boat illusion. Okay, when really there should be land going up there. But this 3D plane clipping thing that I've managed to do means that when you put it, if I put it at 76, there's still a little white line under there, if you can see.
Oh my God, you've just discovered anti-aliasing, I think. You moron.
Not at all, you idiot.
Do you know what anti-aliasing is?
Anti-aliasing is going back through and actually tracing back through the
You can see the anti-aliasing on that bloody sphere there. So, You're
an idiot. This is me zooming in and out.
Yeah, anti-aliasing, you've confused. You do not understand what that little line you've
completely distracted the whole point.
Anti-aliasing. Okay, could we see this? Could we possibly see the side-on view? Would that be possible?
I was just trying to put it on there. Put it on there before we was doing. But that, as I say, you can't see each individual bit because it's such a massive scale. Yeah. So let me.
Okay.
Anti-aliasing Rumpus, really? You pulled that out of your rear
that
end?
is absolute nonsense, mate. It's got nothing to do with angles and changing the clipping.
You were pointing at something which was due to anti-aliasing, and you don't know what it is because you're a moron. You don't know how to use this program.
Mate, I used to use anti-aliasing when I was in web design, and I used to have to lower the quality.
You watch the PBS broadcast because you're a moron. I need to go to bed. I can't put up with any more stupidity.
Go to bed, mate. Go to bed. You've been literally put to bed.
Rumpus, I can hear your mom in the background calling you, dude. Does she know you have internet access? He's gone now. That's good. Holy, dude, that was crazy, man.
Serious?
He was on one today. That's wild.
Don't get it.
So, can we get a side on?
Yeah, sorry, I am trying.
Ranty, only if he super chats $5 more.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
no,
sorry.
it's fine. I'm thinking of giving him his money back somehow. You know, because if we can't get a side on,
I'll just give him a side on view. No way, I'll give him a side on view. Literally, I'll just give him one from the moon, but you just can't resolve it because it's so small.
Yeah, he didn't say side on view of what, did he?
Yeah, he got the orthographic view.
Ranty, flip the camera to yourself.
I think what he wanted was the side-on view from the 2 cubes that you were showing. So, given an elevation of 110 with 100 and then 200. So I think that's what he was after. I don't think he was after the sun.
No, that was it. But that was the side-on view with all of it included in. Oh, I've just lost it there again.
What program is this, Gleem?
Unity.
Cool.
So if you
he
see,
started pulling anti-aliasing out of his rear because he was struggling. That was pathetic.
Sorry, I just need to guide that down.
I can't believe that's the first time ever that Rumpus has left before anybody else on this show.
Oh, dude, we had him like an hour ago.
You can see the graphics are just cutting out there because it's such.
He has never, ever left before anybody else. He stayed till a bit around. He's been beaten up so badly in the past.
Yeah.
And stayed, but today he left. I mean, I said an hour ago he's been destroyed, and it just got worse and worse.
Ranty, you know what's bad funny, dude? He pulls up Wikipedia and starts reading from the hymnal, as if, like, you know what I mean? That's all they can do. Is like, let me pull up Wikipedia and read from it, then maybe they'll believe what I say. That was the highlight, so shout out to Rumpus. He knows what a triangle means.
Do you know what? I think I should clip out this last 90 minutes and put it as a standalone video.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know,
for sure.
The death
That'll
of
make
Rumpus.
Platter famous. We need it to go viral, man. That would be dope.
Bear with us. It's the directional light, and I'll have to sort.
Is it because you've got the sun? You know, I mean, Is it possible to just do the two cubes?
If you can see, there is the cube. There is the first green cube, and
Yeah.
the red cube is
there.
up here.
So is it possible to sort of
There.
like clip that out and just sort of like do a
if you
side
just
on
bear
view?
with us, because it's to do with the. Every time I'm going in, look, if you see I'm zooming in, I lose everything. Because it's
Gleem, all he cares about is that it is flat. That's all he wants to know. That the brown floor is actually flat. So that's what he's saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Look, you can actually. I'll go to the plane here. You can see it's 0, 0, 0. If I now put
Click 2 points.
100 in there, you see it got thick.
Sean gets confused with 3 numbers though. How can we dumb that down? Sean, how do we say that? Sean, they're coplanar. Okay, go look that up.
But that'll just shift it along anyway. But yeah, if I reduce all this down either way.
This was a Ball Earth massacre today. If we get Rumpus, we get all the other ballers for free. So we just need to baptize him.
The next time Sean Hawkins goes live, if he's got the super chat enabled, I'll drop him a $10 because it doesn't look like. Well, because they take the 30% and stuff, you know. So, you know, kind of want to make it fair, you know.
Fair enough. He's put us through so much misery, though. That guy, so much pain.
Share the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, bear with us.
If you can't get it done on the fly tonight, you know, maybe bring it back another time.
I'll set it out. Because that's all I did. I managed to actually get that scenery going.
No, but I think that's all he wants to see. Actually, that's all he wants to see is that.
No, because the plane is, as I say, was 100% straight there. Let me put that back to 100.
Right.
100.
Why would he doubt that? Like, why would a program, why would we make a curved surface knowing that you could
put it back to what it was, where it was? So, there is no way that you can make it anything other than a plane anyway. If I show you exactly how to make it, it will bring it straight in, and I'll show you exactly the same. Let me start again. It's real. This is all free. Unity is free to download, so anyone can download it.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm laughing at fucking YouTube who's put Sean Hawkins is getting his lawyer. Fucking hell.
You never know these days, right?
But if you just do a 3D object here and a plane, it does exactly the same. Let me delete that one out.
Dylan Bob says for $5 Australian dollar 99s for Sean. So for Sean who? Maybe you should do another super chat to confirm. For
one letter
Sean,
at a time.
Yeah, for what Sean that needs to go to.
Yeah, so it is just a plane. You just put it in the same way. So that would have been the position, which is just 0, 0, 0.
How did you get that, Gleem? How do you model that bottom up part in that, or is it just honoring, light?
No, it's got absolutely nothing to do with anything apart from that 3D clipping of the floor. If you limit the floor, if you limit to the amount that you can see of the floor, everything thereafter will appear to be higher than what it is. If the way I can picture it is, if you imagine an infinite hallway, and you chop a section of that in half. Let's just say it goes on 100 miles. So you're not going to be able to resolve it with your eye. Chop that in half at 50 miles, and that there is your horizon, and that's the point where it gets so squashed that you can't resolve any of the carpet thereon. Yeah.
So, but a person to accept that would have to accept the other math, like the stuff Life is Short has done, right? That's valid for that modeling to work.
This is based on my understanding of the same formula that Life is Short uses.
Oh, okay. So it is general in the sense that it's applying just angular, size and, some accepted equation kind of thing. It's not assuming anything flat earthy.
No, all this basically is dropping put it this way, it's attributing that clipping of the plane, that end limit, as a apparent horizon and treating it as an apparent horizon using geometry.
Okay, listen, hang on, wait a minute. There's a couple of things I need to say. Dylan Bob says for $2.99, he's just joking, it's all for me. Happy days, thank you very much. And Toady has an issue with the program that you're using. He says Gleem has set up the floor to clip, which is why it's distorting the view. If you have
just said that.
Well, I'm just saying what he's saying because a lot of people seem to be agreeing with, that kind of...
That is the point. That is the whole point that I've been trying to get Stingray to do, and he come back with like a Walter Bislin dome model. But if just so if Sean can see there is the same plane that I've done I've just added for you, so it's recorded live on the stream. If I put it back to 100, so it's just basically a thin pizza. I should have done it 1,000. Sorry. You can't see it. You see that thin line there now?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do.
That is the plane. That is the plane. But if you can understand this, if I extended the plane out, okay, that would sit on the plane as it is there. Yeah, because it would go back up. It's exactly as I explained it with the floating boat illusion. You see a boat floating on the horizon, and you think it's floating up there when it isn't. It's just that you can't resolve, or you can't. Sorry, it's reflected. The water below is reflected, so you can't resolve that. So it appears that your horizon line is right up front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then what I've had to do is then drop that to the visible horizon. So it's a visible horizon represented using geometry, and it's not geometrically sound. I will say that, and that's basically the reason why, because I'm clipping the plane. I'm assuming that you do not see infinitely of the floor. That is it.
Hey, listen.
Rumpus proved verbally though the bottom up thing.
Just one thing. Just one thing. Hold that thought. Brandon Toy says, smash the super chat with $9.99. Said that was freaking epic. All the bowler shills had left was nuh-uh.
Shout out Brandon Toy, man, from Detroit, from Michigan.
Indeed, Brandon Toy's ace.
He's a cool guy.
Right. You were saying.
Well, I was just gonna say, Ranty, verbally, he basically admitted on the bottom up when Gleem brought up that sugar thing with the laser thing. He's basically saying that, all the angles, can shoot out from that, that laser, and then when you're near the surface, you have half the amount, because the ground is there. So the rays that would be there, don't exist. And so anything at the bottom, the Earth obstructs half of the rays from emanating out from whatever it is. Let's say it's a building or water, whatever. So that's the problem. That's the height always has a preference to be seen. And I don't understand why they don't admit to that, because that's just obvious. There's many different angles you can come. You could go to Life is Short and look at his work, or just use common sense that the ground is disturbing half of the flux of light rays leaving it from the bottom and not the top. It's just simple. So
I just don't think the rays could leave the gradient.
I knew what you were trying to get him to say, but because he didn't quite get it. Like you were basically saying, it's not the object, it's the medium that's guiding the rays, right? Or you kind of wanted him to get that. And he basically thinks just because rays are leaving in all different angles, that means that they're able to go every direction, but that's not true. I mean, that medium is a guide, and it's going to steer them in a particular direction. Yes, do some leave at a higher angle? Yeah, but they have still a desire to go down at some point. So that doesn't magically mean that every point is going to be seen. So that's...
Racky Life, $4.99 super chat says, it's a good show, Ranty, and thank you. Yeah, well, listen, the show's only as good as the panelists, and the panelists make the show. I offer a platform here, and these guys come in, and everyone's knowledgeable in their own way, And
it was good, man. Flat Earth won, dude. If this guy's the optics expert and we can annihilate him like this, what else do they have? Just gibberish.
It was, to be fair, it was quite a humiliation tonight for Rumpus. And, for the most part, you'll know. If I think the Globe has got a point, I'll say it. But to be fair, I mean, he got humiliated tonight, and he didn't even know it.
Yeah. ChrisBerry got a piece. You know, everybody took their licks. It's only fair, though, man. We got to put up with them calling us stupid and lowlifes and whatever. So it's karma.
Well, there's your orthographic either way. So you've got the camera there. You got your green cube there.
Oh, you're not sharing. You're not sharing, mate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead and share.
Sorry. Apologies. Okay.
So is this a side-on view? Are we looking at side-on view? Right, okay.
Side-on view. That's from the main view. So the camera's looking out across the plane. The green cube was there, right in the middle. You can go right in.
Okay. Yep. Green cube is that? Yep.
Green cube. And then the red cube is over here. So that is obviously not true orthographic, but you wouldn't see it because it goes up here spazzing out.
Is this orthographic around a globe or a flat plane?
Flat plane. Oh, 100% flat plane.
Okay.
When you put in a plane, it is flat. Yeah, you would have to do a big sphere like that, and I've only renamed the cubes. Yeah, so those are just the generic things when you go insert 3D object, a sphere. Wherever that inserted that.
Awesome stuff. So, what shows are you on next? I mean, you know, do you just turn up as and when? Do you go on Jose's, or is there any channels that you want to shout out that you'll be on?
Well, it's sort of like free trials given away at the moment. I'm actually after £5,000 per show. No, I'm joking.
Do it, man.
I just chill around.
That was quite funny.
Seriously, there's no. I'm not in it for the professionals. My whole thing here, Ranty, right, is that I've always said, why don't globe earthers meet flat earthers on their own terms and just bloody account for perspective distortions? If it comes up that they turn out and they go, right, yeah, we've accounted for everything to do with perspective, to do with refraction, everything, and it's definitely still cannot be a flat earth, then flat earthers have got hardly anything to come back with. But instead, they're all juggling spikes, basically, and just dropping every single one and allowing flat earthers to go, look, at the end of the day, we've got this black swan. You can only answer it by going refraction, which is exactly the same as what they say about flat earthers going perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like they don't understand. They think, oh, no, we got the upper hand. We don't need to put in any work. And it's amazing how people can say that. I don't know, John wasn't too disrespectful at all. I mean, I do actually like John. John's cool, and he shot down Rumpus as well. Anyway, but at the end of the day, with the globe earth side of things, they just keep on avoiding at all costs accounting for any perspective or any of these distortions that you're talking about, the light hitting the floor and crap, and this clipping. And if I can model it, you know what I mean? If put it this way, if all I've heard for 6 years now is globe earthers saying, oh, you can't model that, you can't show me the maths on that, and all I've done is gone, wait there, no, I can do maths on that, I can show you the model on that, and then exactly what happens. Exactly what Rumpus just demonstrated is like, oh, look, you don't know this program, you don't know what the scale is. Of course I know what scale is. Scale is a bloody scale, mate. Come on.
Well, Toadie's itching in the chat to, to sort of like disagree with you. So I'll offer this out to Toadie because he's been on the show before. So if at any point you wanna pop on and have a chat, you seem like a nice fella, so pop on and maybe you two can have this out, or maybe you can just come and talk to me and tell me why this is wrong in your opinion. Either way, we want to get to the bottom of it because there's, this will reach 1,000 people, 2,000 people probably. It's worth looking into. So, Mind of God, you've got a show in a couple of days, I believe, with Fight the Flat Earth. Do you want to do a plug for that?
Yeah, man. Thanks, dude. Friday, I'm supposed to go up against Professor Phil Bell. We're going to find out what this man is a professor of. You know what I mean? But it should be good. Just doing top 3 proofs. It's going to be kind of casual. And then Fight the Flat Earth will moderate. I demanded 5% be donated to charity. If I have any say in the charity, it will go to Ranty's legal fund. But I have a feeling he's going to put it. He said it's going to go to some baller, education, NASA, basically CGI, I guess, fund. But if you guys want to drop by for that, that'll be good. And my channel has gotten 2 strikes, so I can't post for 2 weeks. So I'm just going to play golf.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that. Actually, tell us.
Yeah,
you had a viral video. You had a viral video,
dude. Ranty, I was on a high because I think what was it? A couple of days ago, yesterday, I came and told you about that, and I was like, man, like. This is what it feels like to have influence, 60,000 views. I'm like, that's more than my entire channel for 3 years has gotten in like a day and a half of copying Alan Dershowitz video. And so maybe that put me on the radar for YouTube. I don't know, but I posted a video I mirrored most of my videos are just mirrors, but it was like speaking out against the World Health Organization. And that was the double strike. And so
Did they take the video? Did they take the video down?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, you've lost that 70,000 video?
Oh no, sorry, that one's okay. It was another one that caused me problems that I mirrored, and it was speaking out against the World Health Organization. They're okay with that one, the viral one. So that didn't cause me any problems. But this is my second video that they've removed in a 90-day period, so I have to take a 2-week. Mommy YouTube puts me in the corner. I can't post videos or live stream or anything, so I'm going to play it cool. So.
Okay. Well, listen, how it works out with Fight the Flat Earth, on his platform, see how it goes. If you think it was fairly moderated, that's great. But Professor Phil Bell, he's been on here many a time, and so have you. So, if you ever want to have a round 2, or you think that things are unfair, or maybe Professor Phil Bell thinks that he was given not as much leniency as he would have expected from Fight the Flat Earth over there, then you could have a round 2 over here,
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, I'll pop by. I appreciate you having me on. I mean, me and Fight the Flat Earth, we had a good discussion with Team Skeptic on gravity, so we haven't talked in like a year or something. So now that, I'm going to kind of take a break, I think, from the Bible stuff for a little while because it's kind of like overheating. So I'm kind of glad that this delay happened, so I'll be around, man. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to say that Fight the Flat Earth, when I went on there, I mean, was
he's fine.
It was nice, it was a nice show to have. I mean, he didn't see it. We talked before the show and after the show, and he just seemed like your average person. So I haven't got any bad words to say. To be fair.
Did you see his most recent one though, Ranty?
I haven't, no. Is it against me? If it is, then he's a twat.
No, it's him and Team Skeptic, I think, versus Nathan Thompson and some other guy. I can't remember his name, to be honest.
Listen, him and Team Skeptic came against me, and I owned him without even realising I owned him. I didn't think I got a fair crack of the whip, to be fair. But on the real load, when I watched it, I was like, wow, I destroyed him. And I didn't even show a tenth of what I wanted to show. But I still destroyed him. So
they're not the optics guys. You're going into like the sandbox, that's not to be rude. They're more into other
that's
stuff,
true.
I guess. Rumpus is our only hope, and the reality is I mean, he didn't have that much going on today. Fundamentally, the bottom-up thing, they won't admit to it, but it's obvious. They'll say it in words, but they won't admit to that possibility. I don't know how they can get away with that. I mean, there's so many evidences of it, but...
Right, okay, so listen, I'm going to round up, guys, but I just want to reply to Simon Grabowski, who says, you should ask us, going back on this now, I don't even really want to go that way, but you should ask a solicitor about countersuing, citing frivolous case against you, judges hate frivolous cases against defendants. That's all well and good, but, I'm not here to punish people unless they are literally gunning for the channel, which in this case is Sleeping Warrior, and I do have a legal team that's working with me on that particular issue. So as regards Roxanne, I'll just fight the case, but with Sleeping Warrior, that's a different kettle of fish, because what he's doing is beyond the normal realms of what you'd expect from a normal person, right? And it needs addressing. So
well, one quick comment, sorry, Ranty, I want to make. People wonder why that video went viral, and I was scratching my head about that too, but then somebody posted my link to that clip, which I just got from somebody else's channel, into a blog that looks like was popular, and then it just went off. And so they didn't just search the title and then my name came up first. It was, I don't know. And Zoom Truth has taken my videos sometimes and put them on zero head, so he helps me out sometime. I don't know if it was him, but sometimes it's just whoever grabs the first link and then puts it in their blog, and I guess that was me. So I didn't pay for it. You know, I am a Mason, but that's not stuff I can talk about.
Have you got 666 on your neck?
Yeah, me, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty, Baldycast, we're all in the same lodge, you know. So I'm just trying to figure out what they know, you know, about the end times, but for a future hangout. But thanks for having me, Ranty. I'm going to sign off. Peace, bro.
No worries. And Gleem, anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, in fact, I just remembered Toady put in the chat there he can't come in tonight, but he will do this weekend. And I just remembered I am actually due to go on Ali B's to have a chat with, have a natter with Ali B, just a coffee.
Okay, so, do you want to plug that? Do you want to plug it properly?
That'll be this weekend. Yeah, I don't know when. It was just literally agreed in Jose's chat earlier on, I think.
Okay, Ali B's pretty cool. He's a flat earther. He does his live streams. He's got a few hundred subscribers. He should have a lot more. And you're going on his show to have a bit of a chit chat, yeah?
Yeah, definitely shout out his channel rather than mine if we could share it. I can't post links in the chat. if you can share his channel, that would be cool, because exactly that, the guy talks some sense, and he cross-analyzes both the flat earthers and globe earthers on there, so it's not pro flat earth all the time, put it that way.
Yeah, Ali B's he's a great channel. What can I say? I mean, what he says, he just speaks from the heart.
Exactly.
He's very knowledgeable as well. He's actually quite intelligent. So I'm looking forward to that. So if you get the opportunity to check out Ali B's channel, that's ALLY space BEE. Go and check him out, subscribe, and yeah, so you'll be there this weekend, perhaps. Right?
Yeah, should be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, that'll end tonight's stream, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Nice.